I was right. So, turns out you do need to sort of look for an AIO caller. And this only came as a thought because of obviously like the height issue with the Noctua. But the Noctua is like eerily close to a sort of bad AIO, I guess, or well, mid-range, or not bad, but mid-range. And I think it's an interesting thing to talk about because obviously I think there's going to be some competition there with AIOs, and obviously the Arctic Liquid Freezer is like a big pick. But I did some research because I hadn't actually properly researched AIOs, and I think bigger fans means quieter, so I will go for that. But also like temperature and stuff, and to see like what the benchmarks are for the liquid coolers, and it's very interesting because you can't really find a chart for these for some reason, which I find a bit weird. Because I don't know what it is about AIOs, but there seems to be enough on the market that there just doesn't seem to be any benchmarks for enough of them, which is very strange. Because the only one who's closest to this is Gamers Nexus, and even then, there isn't exactly always an up-to-date benchmark, or even for the ones you have, for the type of thing you have that you've chosen, which I do find very bizarre. Again, I did some research and several videos and sources have actually recommended a very unusual cooler, but one that actually looks like it's going to perform, which is the LE2 Galahad, which is very fascinating. I didn't expect this to actually come in as a contender for an AIO. And their last one, I think, was released 5 years ago, I believe, the first variant of this. Which is interesting, but I'm looking for something that both does thermals and noise very well. And by the looks of it, it does both. Again, just off the looks of it. But this is like the 280mm version. I don't know, obviously, if this channel, for example, I found it from actually initially, like Robitech. Does it say noise levels? No. Just thermal performance. Just skimming through it. The temps aren't too bad, but I am getting the 280mm version, so I think it will vary, obviously. Again, the fact it's on like the lower side of things, and this is like under load, because this is the important thing. My H100X here, for my 5800X, too many X's in the names. What about Z's? Yeah, again, it usually is supposed to get high. That's the point. That's what I think is supposed to happen with these coolers anyway, when obviously you are seriously under load. And that's only when you're under load. So it doesn't mean you're actually going to reach that, especially by gaming, because I don't think gaming really has that sort of impact. But you're definitely going to get somewhere, I think. Could be wrong. But again, the Galahad, you know, if it's to be believed with both cooling and quietness, then it should be good, I suppose. But the LCD screen is a bonus. I wouldn't say it's like the biggest thing I'm excited about, but it could be interesting. You never know. God knows what I'll put on that. Seen interesting ones already, but it depends. I could do I don't know, like evolution stuff, I don't know. It depends. But yeah, I really think that the AIO stuff comes out of nowhere, and I think I am kind of set on just doing an AIO at this point, because a good one is going to perform well, but I think a bad one will just, you know, break the system, I think, in some ways. But yeah, I tried looking for the best callers of like 2026 best AO callers, but it didn't show up with many, and I'm only looking for 240, 280 because that's the max that Fractal Meshify has, and if I were to go for a bigger case, one, that'd be annoying as fuck to install and take out, but two, it would also be take up so much space, and it's more than I actually need. And yeah, like there might be a amazing gaming GPU like a 9080 XT, but I couldn't worry about that at the time. And again, given experience, I might be able to even just transfer it to a new case to accommodate that. But ultimately, it depends, I think. But even then, I don't need an amazing GPU. There's no point in that. All an amazing GPU is going to do, I think, is just giving me too much performance. Like that's that, really. I don't really think there's going to be anything else. But yeah. Again, I think in terms of choice, I think this is probably the best one to go for. Why am I getting on my nail clippers when I need to put on anti-itch cream? Yeah. But yeah, I think I've decided just on AIO also because addressing the issue about reliability, it shouldn't really be an issue. Because ideally it would be fine. Yeah, there shouldn't be problems with it anyway. I'm paying money for this. And if there is like accidental damage and there's a leak or something, that'll be their problem. And given it's pretty much a trusted brand at this point, it really does fall on them if something goes wrong. And they have to cover all the costs for a new system. And I think that should be a responsibility for a lot of these. If they do shoddy sort of AIO work, so they're not hooking it up properly, then it should fall on them to cover the costs, to cover the damages. And yeah, it seems a bit stupid, but in reality, if you're serving a product like this with that risk involved, again, I do think it falls on you. So it's a bit kind of a tricky situation, and even then, just use a sort of like liquid thing in there, like I don't know what it is actually. Like, can you get like liquids that aren't shorting stuff that won't even stop things like that? I don't know. It really depends. Anyway, don't really have anything else to add. So yeah, so another realization. This is kind of like a holy shit moment, which I find really annoying. For this one, it's bizarre. I'm not gonna lie. I just realised matching is something I should try. As in, when it comes to sorting out this stuff, obviously the AO callers and the aesthetics, I ideally should be matching. So if I were to go with RGB AOs, which may be just an option at this point, because I wouldn't mind a bit of it, even though I'm sort of verging on getting the Ambience Pro Fractal Meshify. But having some RGB would be decent, and I figured, well, hang on, if I'm getting like a Lee and the Galahad, for example, although they don't do a black one for some reason, racist towards PCs, then I need to get a matching fan, don't I? Because when I set this up in the software, there's going to be two bits of RGB. It's going to be the fractal RGB and then the D&D. And then I thought, well, why not just all fractal for ease of use? And it turns out there's not many 280 or even 240 fractal fans, which is shit. Yeah, so limited options it seems, and I could expand into 240 I guess when it comes to that. So if I do fractal and then sort by 240, 280, and then still fuck all. And most things are not even in stock, and the only one that comes up is the fractal loom, which I just looked up, and the problem is, it seems like it's not gonna be very easy to install, and it's not even the best of the lot I've seen. Because thermals are quite bad compared to others. Again, there's like cheaper and better alternatives. And again, that installation thing is a really big killer. Even though aesthetically it makes sense to get this, but for the price it's like, ugh. And even then this is like the V2, so hang on. There may even be a different one. Because what did I watch? The version of oh, S36 V2, okay. This is the S28 though, so yeah, I suppose it's size. But maybe an installation guide can actually like show me exactly, because it would be worth it in the long run, but I don't know again how good that would be. But it all requires like research, and even then, one of the better options, if I can't match, I could always just try and look for a different case. Even then there's like smaller versions, I think. So why is it coming up with different results? What the fuck is this? Yeah, certainly consideration to be had here. I'm hoping that something like this isn't a big deal. I'm not even just going for RGB yet. Because the other thing, this is the thing that I have to mention. Like everything, every case I've seen is like rainbow vomit. Even all the cases on PC Part Picker, which is not great, and I would like a sort of sleeper PC. But because this is a white case and it doesn't really have a non-sort of gloss version, I might as well just get the RGB. Because I could just turn it off. If I don't like it, I'll turn it off. That's what I think is a big consideration here when it comes to choosing a case, choosing something that's suitable. And I did run in PC Builder some of the RGB options I'm looking at, and it actually doesn't look too bad. What I'm planning to get, it looks like it'll be lit pretty well, regardless of what it is. And for some reason you can't install a 360 with a rear case fan, which is weird, in PC Building Simulator, only because of the AIO caller cables, which I find very bizarre. I honestly don't understand that. A bit of a strange design choice, but I don't know. Even then, I wonder if you can like turn the fans around in the actual like build itself for the lumen, because I feel like that's going to be a big thing. Like if you have it one way, can you have it another? It seems a bit silly to not be able to do that. Then why remove even a rear case fan? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a bit confused by that as well. So yeah. Again, there's another thing to learn, it seems. Yeah, don't know what else to add, so let's move on. Somebody might say in response to that about that thing a few days ago, because I just saw reaction videos, and it was mainly like news places, but there's a shopping channel guy who just reacted normally, but news people didn't, which is very interesting. I want to show myself skilled there right away. But the disappointing thing about the emergency alert is just that it's a misuse of it, because it's not a real emergency alert, and people no doubt have been stupid and panicked enough, because it's both really not the same thing, to be clear, but both are in that category where they'll read it and think, God, I need to get up, do fucking something, and I sort of had that first reaction too. And that's why I think this is just mishandled. But then obviously as I experienced, not just like 2 hours later, someone was setting off fireworks. A direct fire hazard. What the fuck? What is going on? Doesn't make sense. I find that it's so silly. as a thing to do, and then it's just gaslighting people into, ironically, pun intended, and literally doing that. You know, they're going to do that sort of thing. But what do you expect? You're a Labour government. You're one of the most hated things in the country at the moment, up there with Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe. And currently that's causing such a fracture that people won't even take your alert seriously. They'll say it's a government conspiracy, not listen, don't even care, and then they'll go ahead and do the things that you've said they shouldn't, because there's no consequence to it. As far as I know, nobody got arrested in my area for setting off fireworks, even though they're told not to. So I don't understand. There seems to be a very big distrust in people, it seems, and this doesn't help. Because it seems so poorly just orchestrated. It's one of the worst things to happen in recent years in the UK, and that's really saying something. Now, I could be overreacting here. Obviously, people will ask, like, what would I do better then? How would I convey the message that you shouldn't use, well, whatever it was, I can't remember what it was now in the message. Don't use disposable barbecues or set off fireworks or anything on fire. And I think it'd be very simple. Basically, you go to a mobile network, and you probably already do this anyway. Go to all the mobile networks, you provide your government ID and stuff, whatever it is, and then verify that you are part of the government and can be backed up with that as proof, go in person and stuff. And you basically allow it so that messages come through on all devices that don't use the emergency alert, but rather a text. And there's obviously like proof of that as well. And what you do in that, because they also put a link in the emergency alert for some reason, you also just send the text to everyone. A simple vibration or notification. That's it. That's all it needed. And it's there forever as well. Whereas an emergency alert can be just swiped away and it's gone for good, unless you look at alert history. So again, this becomes an extreme problem, because they decided to do the worst thing possible here, which is not great. I just don't know what they were thinking. It feels really fucking dystopian. So that obviously is bad. What do I even say to that? Just the way this was handled is terrible. And yeah, the text would just do fine, because even then it's there permanently. And it's not misusing things, and then the noise that an emergency alert makes already instills a lot of fucking panic. Again, it's supposed to be loud, but the problem is, for this specific scenario, it's not supposed to be used for that, because there isn't an imminent danger to life. It's simply a fucking warning, telling people not to do this. And again, that's why I think it's a misuse. What do I say? Like, it's a bit like saying, oh, don't eat what was it, the thing that people used to do on TikTok? I can't remember, it was like those laundry liquid pods or something, and people telling them not to take that. But if you're doing an emergency alert for that, what the fuck are you on about? Like, yeah, it doesn't displace like home stuff, but it does affect lives. It's a stupid trend which doesn't have science behind it, and you know it's dangerous. And even then, I think because you're government, you're also going to be untrustworthy, so you don't even want a government source for this. You actually want to start providing an external source. If we are actually to address a problem like this, like stopping fireworks and disposable barbecues, you have to find a fucking source that does it, that says it. Because at the moment, the source is the government. And already the trust with the government, regardless of whether it's conspiracy or other, is at an all-time low. So of course people aren't going to fucking listen. And the other thing that I mentioned in the text is severe penalties will be invoked if people do those things. So I'd certainly incentivise a program where you can give said things back to places and they refund you. Like, there's a possibility there. Like, the government will refund you anyway for a portion of the money. Because also you can't really do it all because of the amount there is. Well, I could be wrong on that. Even that, it's just better to do. Better to do that. Like, why wouldn't people just refund their stuff? So, that's the other thing. But, being caught doing it, I think should be met with a severe penalty, like a fine that's larger than the amount you get for a refund. Not much larger. And that goes back into the economy to help people in the cost of living crisis. That's how you do it. It doesn't take a genius to fucking figure this out. And that's even considering a lot of the things that could be affected around it. Again, the refund issue would become like this. We give back money to the stores that are obviously selling that, and obviously we give money to the people who trade it in, who give it back, essentially. And there's probably uses for disposable barbecues anyway, outside of obviously daily use. It's probably going to be used for energy, so it's even got that use there. And similarly with fireworks, there may be something to do with it. Maybe, could be wrong. Maybe the gunpowder could go back into like military sort of stuff. And there may be other like niche things. But this is what I'm thinking of. Again, that's an easier way to address it. And I think the fine being in place would be just the perfect nail in the coffin there. It's very much solidified an idea where if people even try the government, they'll just get fucking done, which is good. And I think that's deserved. Especially in the UK at the moment, we're not in a good place. Everyone's just fucked, it seems. Even with my mental illness, I'm not stable at the moment. Don't even know what the fuck I'm even capable of. That's all the danger of that. So again, it's all sort of panicky and cutthroat, I guess is the term. So it's like little to no winning unless obviously you fight for it. But this isn't a fight, it's like a fucking... Again, it's like arsony. Like Andy Burnham should be tried for that in my opinion. Because this was just so mishandled, and then the Cobra meeting itself was a disaster. Because there wasn't any fucking resolution, no mention of the climate, and his only response, we'll address it when the time comes. The time is now, Doss. Don't you see the fucking temperatures? Don't you see how uninhabitable this place is? How unstable our homes are for these temperatures? Yeah, not to mention the emissions are causing problems as well. So we need to convert animal agriculture, we need to stop AI data centers. It's a fucking clusterfuck. This is why people get so angry and passionate about this. It's just an idiotic leadership, as you would get with Reform and Restore, because based on the research, they'll do the exact same thing. They are the fucking establishment that they complain about all the fucking time. Wokeness has got nothing to do with climate. That's the thing as well. People will say it's a woke thing. There's nothing to do with that. It's a bit like saying a rocket scientist has everything to do with climate, when a rocket scientist is fucking getting us to space. What does that have anything to do with it? It's got nothing to do with gender. I don't understand what people are drawing from these conclusions. Or if there even is a conclusion. Because I don't think there is, I'm not convinced. The way people act about this, it seems like that way. Yeah, as I said, it's just majorly disappointing. Just extremely stupid stuff. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing this crap. I'm trying to think of what else there is. I don't know what else you could do to address this. Just having like incentive programs for doing certain things, like getting some of these things under wraps as soon as possible, obviously. I think that's pretty important. Again, like converting fossil fuels to electricity as much as possible, including cars and public transport. There is a very big benefit to that, and the longer we don't do that, the longer it's going to be an issue. So that's why we see problems here. And yeah, politically as well, the one thing you shouldn't be doing in this time is exactly what Andy did here. Just a message. And again, through an alert system, no less. Again, I get it's a threat to life if it does go through, but you are literally giving people fuel to just do that. To not give a shit about nature. In fact, I'm interested, like, arson crimes since the emergency alert UK. Let's see, because this probably has increased it. South Yorkshire Police Facebook, I don't know. That starts on millions, no shit. Let's see, we're going to emergency alert. Please take it seriously. Okay. Arson, criminal attack, danger of life, Fretless, that's not even a recent post. First time England has initial alert. No. Nope, nothing. It's quite likely, but again, I'm willing to bet that people are just gonna do that. Gonna fucking like hedge their bets and just do these things anyway, commit crime. Let's see what the South Yorkshire Police say. Reporting increase in number of 999 calls. Yeah, this is a common on national alert, advising people not to light anything that could cause a fire. This is due to the risk of fire spreading by the hot dry conditions we have been experiencing lately. Our force control room has seen an increase in number of calls this evening since the alert, reporting findings such as barbecues, which have caused a great demand in our control room and has resulted in delay of staff answering emergency calls. If you suspect someone has started a fire deliberately, you can report them to Fire Stoppers 0800 169 5558. This is anonymous. Please only call 999 if there's an emergency right now. You can call 101 or use our online reporting services to have an emergency instance. Interesting. So, yeah, very interesting, that is. So they kind of admitted that this did cause problems. I wonder what the comments say. I sort of dread it. So most relevant, the national alert should be used for actual emergencies, like in danger to life, not a call for common sense. Exactly. It's kind of what I said, and they should have just done a text. Second one, I'm not convinced that was appropriate to use, obviously, a national alert system. Yeah, true. Third one, you're allowed to barbecue in your own garden, on a proper grill, not disposable on the grass. I'll be lighting my wood fire pizza oven on Sunday and making me some yummy homemade pizzas. I don't know. I think being allowed to barbecue is fine, but you have to do it in a place that's safe. You have to have safety. But not disposable on fucking grass. Like, it's something that we used to do in like the 2000s. But these days we are more aware of that. Even after the message, they still walk among us, disposable barbecues, garden fires. Anything other than a controlled barbecue, maybe even common sense. Bring 101. If you come across a fire, about to or out of control, there's 999. Yeah, and I wonder if there's any conspiracies in the newer comments. Newest. Bit late. Grassing on folk for having a barbecue. What dumbass? What the fuck? That has to be a bot, alright. It's got nothing to do with having a fucking barbecue. It's to do with the fire that it creates and the risk to wildfires. Like, again, like someone like this should have to face, if they are real, should have to face the consequences of that. Live near a wildfire for a day or two. Like, fucking do that. See how nice it is. See how much that's grassing you. It's so stupid. This TikTok thing. Hey Bill. Oh god. Okay. Say anything else? Take it serious. It's no laughing matter when someone laughs at that. Let's dox you then. See. Who after that? What idiot? The Mangly. Yeah, sounds like an idiot. Let's see what else. What idiot's called 999 for this? What do you mean? Like, it's an emergency fucking alert. Like, people are not sure what to do, and they see that, they read the headline, that there's a risk of wildfires near you. They're of course going to think it's a fucking emergency, and they're not sure what to do because there's no instructions. And people think, like I did, like when I first got this, I'm not gullible, but I know at least to address this problem, like an alert, like a threat to life, and I'm wondering what I was supposed to do. And it turns out I wasn't supposed to do anything. Like, why didn't you just say that? And why is it an emergency alert again? I keep coming back to this point. It's such a misuse of the fucking system. And there'll be people who defend it, saying it's absolutely necessary, but it's not. Again, it's like common sense, and then you just gaslight people. Again, we go back to that point. You don't fucking understand the population, especially the one we're in. It's pro-fascism, and they'll burn anything they want. They already burned migrant homes, so what do you think? How do you think they're going to react? It's so dumb. I thought I was having an overreaction when I first posted about it, but yeah, it's not. I really do think this. Anyway, that's enough on that, so yeah, let's just address it. Let's move on. Hello. Well, I've got something interesting to talk about, and my god, it's only been a couple 100 years. I saw I think a trailer for the next Simpsons movie, which was very interesting. Well, not actually a trailer, that's just wrong. Well, there sort of was one. It's more like actually it's a thank you, it's not a trailer, my bad. But it's interesting what I've seen in this, because given my disappointment with The Simpsons as it currently stands, I'm quite surprised that they're making a movie, a second one. And even if it's not a movie, if it's an episode, then it actually looks very fucking promising. It's actually got a really fucking well key animation scene. It's really good. It's even well animated, despite it being unfinished. And I'm just surprised by that. I saw obviously this clip, whatever it was, and I was just surprised. I'm a bit lost for words because it actually shocked me. And if this came from the same or similar people who've written The Simpsons, then I'm surprised at least the recent Simpsons. I would be surprised, but if it's the old writers, then I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Honestly, this is like how good it is. And it sucks I don't remember much from the actual movie itself, the first one. And weird story, I was obsessed with Bart's penis as a kid. I don't know why. It's a very weird thing, I just paused on scenes a lot. Kind of foreshadowing my gayness, I think. Yeah, embarrassing. But I'm looking forward to what we might see in this, I think, because based on that key animation, it's very well done. It knows not to take itself seriously, it knows to be silly at every turn it can. Just very surprised by it. It genuinely feels like they're onto something here. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's crazy enough to think about that there's a second one. But again, even though I don't remember much from the first movie, I still think it again is showing a lot of promise. And as long as it's not like a sequel to the movie, I think they'll do fine. From what I could tell, it seems like a great sort of, I don't know what you call it, like a thing. They call that a movie, idiot. But like a great follow-up, I guess, to the movie, or at least a series as well. Because it might have something in there that appeals to all demographics, which I think it'll be challenging, but it'll be worth it. You know, if they can pull it off, and it seems like from this clip alone, they are sort of pulling something off here. Which leaves me very surprised. So I kind of did not expect that at all. Just trying to think. I'm trying to transform this bit of an image and it's not working. For some reason it's not in pixel line. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Again, it's just very goofy. It gave me a good few chuckles, which I was very surprised by. Not gonna lie, I don't expect many chuckles when it comes to modern Simpsons, and there are a few in the recent series. But yeah, like few and far between though. And even having said that, the guy who made the video that the Simpsons is back is saying it's not back now. I don't know how I don't report on that if I haven't already, but I sort of disagree with the video, if I'm being honest, because The Simpsons is a very niche thing, and for something like this series, to have gone on for so long, to expect something better, it's pretty much impossible, and I was happy with the episodes I saw. Well, mostly happy. There's some obviously that aren't, but they're better. I thought they were getting more creative. Is they're doing things that hadn't been done before. Like obviously Homer and Patty relationship, Patty and Selma relationship. I actually think it's just Selma. It's just one of them. Whichever one it was. Nobody knows. But yeah, I think again there's a lot of potential there. We have to wait and see, I think, and it's also possible that it'll become meme-worthy quite quickly. It opened greatly in the key animation, it probably will open greatly as it goes on. Start to open up a bit more, become more characterized, I guess that's the term. Something like that. But yeah, it's definitely got the old sense of humour, which I'm quite pleased about. Even though I don't... I like to hark on nostalgia a bit, but I don't like to obsess it. I think that's the difference. I think you can enjoy a new sense of humour or new ideas, but you just have to learn to let things go sometimes. And I think this is one of the cases where people probably should stop expecting the same thing over and over again, because that's just unrealistic as fuck. We're never going to get that level of Simpsons ever again. You have to face it, and even then it's not really made to make you watch it. It's just there for its runtime or however long it's going to go on for now, and that's that. So harsh reality check. But yeah, anyway, shall we move on? So this is painful. I've had a really stressful day, and one of the other stresses I had, wasps fucking came into my room out of nowhere. I don't understand how that happened, even then, with my window open, but it had aircon going through it, there's a fucking hose going through it, so I don't know why it even came in. There was no fruit, there's no strong scents other than sports powder by, what's it called? Oh, no. I forgot the name of it now. It's a red thing. Not deodorant, perspirant, antiperspirant. But I was wearing that, so maybe it came from that, but I don't know. But that stressed me the fuck out. I hate when I encounter insects of any form, any shape. It just freaks me the fuck out. Even the ones that have just like attached themselves to shit, it's just like, Jesus Christ, go away. Stop going in my room. It's just creepy, and it's also just... it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Never been a fan of, what insects are doing, capable of, for that matter. Just find it exhausting to deal with them, and I just don't like it. It sounds a bit childish, but it's true. I do have a sort of phobia in a way. Obviously not complete phobia, I think there's obviously a difference there. That's very different things. But I do feel uneasy around insects, and I know from having like some form of paranoia, I'm not exactly well adjusted to insects either, so even then if people suggest dare suggest exposure therapy, I don't really think that's going to be possible, to be honest. I think exposure therapy is going to be the worst thing for me, because it would just confirm everything I have. I have sensory issues, I have among other visual issues, I even hallucinate. Sure. No, I do literally hallucinate. I see things in my vision that aren't there, and I don't know what that's from. Maybe sleep deprivation, but it's not good, obviously. But yeah, basically the world dealt with the wasp, and it's not topic to be clear. I just got my mini vacuum and hoovered it up. And now you're going to suffer a long, painful death, you fucking bastard. Stupid bastard. Like, yeah, it might seem cruel, but the problem is, how do I put out his misery anyway? For the miserable existence it causes itself and others? I don't know. I don't like the idea. Rather give a mercy killing, obviously. But it just sickens me. Again, I'm not a fan of insects. It's not a thing that I deal with. Even then, I've had nightmarish scenarios with insects. I've been swarmed by moths. Fun fact, not so fun. I had a moth problem because someone decided to keep snakes for too long and not clean them out properly. Dumbass, I have to say, for what it is. Yeah, it's just absolutely gross stuff over the years, and it's bothered the fuck out of me so long. I don't understand it. It just feels so shit to me, and I don't know what the deal is with that. It also feels very unfair because these snakes have been around since I was a kid, and it's just like, why did you even bother? The worst thing was probably feeding them like mice, like killing the mice and feeding them to the snake, like literally breeding mice. It is awful. Like, I don't know why anyone would want snakes. It's so fucking bad. That's not enough about the species I don't like, but humans are probably at the top of that anyway. I'm not on the sound for it, by the way. Yeah, so I figured out something, because I have to open it for the aircon. So I thought. And then I had an idea. If this is just going to happen to me every now and then, where I get a fucking wasp in my room, you know, it's doable, but I'd prefer not to. So where the instinct comes in, where I want to solve the problem, I figured out that actually what I could do is just aim it out the window. Instead of move my insect net, and I just aim it out the window through the insect net. Not a hole, not anything, just aim it. Turns out that works. I'm shocked. I'm as shocked as you are, Mr. Viewer. Mr. Mux, Mrs. Mus, Dr. Lord. Yeah, Lord Viewer. Fuck's sake. I haven't had a good day. Yeah, weird yin and yang there. But anyway. So yeah, I figured that out, and it's embarrassing in a way, because I don't know how I didn't realise it sooner. I bought the seal kit and I bought stuff to address that issue, but now seemingly it's not going to be a problem? Question mark. Because the real issue was I was just fed up of insects constantly getting in, and this is a bigger problem as I just keep finding things. I saw the biggest spider I ever did last week or something. Fucking stamped on that thing. It literally got, I don't know what it was, like guts all over my slipper. So I didn't use my sock for that. I had to like disinfect the slipper and the floor OCD things, by the way. It's horrible. But again, I just can't deal with it. And so having this solution is actually a great middle ground. From what I can tell, it seems like the best option for me. Again, it sucks to have to do stuff like that, but this is the reality. It's not fair on me to have to suffer through this when I am legitimately suffering. In fact, we have a fruit fly problem because my housemate for some reason doesn't eat the fruit that's left out for him. And I'm considering nicking a few because he doesn't eat it, so I might start doing that. But yeah, it's getting ridiculous, and it's just left there to rot, literally. Whether it's oranges or bananas, and I don't really know how I can eat oranges in a safe way because I hate them sensory-wise. Love the taste, hate the feel. Too stringy, and that string is annoying as fuck. And I think somehow cook them, but I don't know if that's good or not. If it's healthier. Also, what's on my cursor? It's like casting a weird shadow. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't have anything else to add, so I'll move on quickly. I've got stuff to do. I'm so behind on everything today. I am exhausted. I did a workout and I had the poster for it this time because I was curious, like, what can I do to improve my workout and do something that feels comfortable. With dumbbells, obviously, not barbells. Barbells it's probably more difficult, to be fair, because dumbbells you have the flexibility, but dumbbells you don't. Barbells, I mean. If I've got them correct, anyway, in terms of naming. But I'm not always correct, am I? But yeah, I think it's interesting, for sure. Because I really didn't know a lot of this stuff, and I got this poster sadly from Amazon. I don't know where to get them cheap with free delivery, and I'm not willing to dish out exactly unless it's a reputable source. Actually, I should have done that. Fuck, it's only when I do things after I realise. It's called FitMate Dumbbell Complete Workout, and this, I only did everything up to, well, except legs, rather, and the things that I did do before, but I did every workout, and I rated them based on can do, can't do, maybe can do, but not sure, or just not sure it's better one. And I rated that as it was to come, and I've got some interesting results from that. So I need to get the paper for it because I wrote it down. I don't know where to put it actually. Hi Wasp from earlier. Yeah, so for the chest ones, first one, bench press. I'm not sure about it. Because I'm barely able to lift the 12.5 kilograms I'm lifting at the moment, it is a bit of a struggle. And I keep having, like, I don't know, rebound and shake when I lift them high. It's the same thing with the Arnold press, which I struggled with previously as well. And I'm not too confident in it that I feel safe, which is the issue here. I'm feeling a bit kind of maybe verge on playing it safe here, so I'll do it to obviously like what I consider failure. I don't know if that's the correct term. So yeah, I did that, and I'm still not sure. Incline press, same thing, not sure, same problem. But I'm not sure how to do it in my bed, because that's all I have. I don't have room for a bench, I don't have room for any other thing like that. So that I have to do. Fun. What's next? Let's make this. Chest fire, this one was interesting, and I think I can do it. Because weirdly enough, it's different to the bench press, because, you know, you're having to take it from the sides. And the thing with this, I guess, is that at least you can do it over the chest, where the others kind of are too close to the neck, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, then again, it's not the same images I'm looking at. Oh, weird. It's weird how I'm able to do that and not the other one. The other one seems easier because you have a rest, but you're actually stretching your arms out with this one and it feels like it's doing something. Which I think is why I liked it. Why I said I could do it as well. It's just very fascinating. Honestly, didn't expect that. What else? Next one. Hammer press. This one I kind of like too, because it's again a very comfortable position. It's not perfect, but it all works. It's similar to the shoulder press, to be fair. But you're doing it sideways, and I feel more confident in that because I've got the room to sort of dodge it, I guess, if it does go wrong. But it did feel like it was doing something to my arms as well, which is the important point. I think with all this, it has to do something. So it has to do stuff to work, to be effective, to me anyway. What else? I'm trying to think. The next one is going on to the next thing, rather. So what is wrong with this channel? Fucking Alfred. There we go. Trying to do artwork at the same time. Next thing was shoulders, and then I did the shoulder press, which is next, and I thought that was meh. Not sure. Again, It's just very confusing to me. I don't know what it is with some of these. They feel really close to the head, and I just get panicky about it. Like, oh god, what if it lands on my head and I get a concussion? Like 12.5 kilograms on my head doesn't sound like a good idea. I'll say that much. And I sort of take the same mentality that I took with kitchen stuff, like cooking. So when it comes to prep, for example, when you're cutting vegetables, you shouldn't have to use your other fingers. You have to eliminate every risk factor there is, because if something can go wrong quite easily, it will go wrong. It's like, that's a simple logic. And that's why I don't cut with two hands, I cut with one hand. Literally just one knife, one hand. That's it. That's all you do. What you need to do in the kitchen, usually. And it can depend sometimes. It's very rare that I have to use both, but if it's something really tough, then it's not worth it. I literally got a fucking cheap knife from Lidl once, and it was because we didn't have any in the house, and it was the shittiest knife I've ever seen. So fucking, I think, blunt. It's like flat around the, obviously, the part where it's supposed to cut, and it just snapped. Luckily it didn't snap back into me or into my hand or anything, but Jesus Christ, that is a safety risk. And the fact it couldn't even cut through an onion, which I was cutting at the time, just nuts. Like, what the fuck? I've never had anything like this in my life. After that, I looked for a professional set of knives, because I was like, Jesus, I don't want that. Actually found a decent knot, fortunately for me, which is kind of shit, but I had no choice. So with that, I'll risk it. And obviously I don't want to risk that shit, it's just too much to handle. Yeah, anyway, sorry, tangent. Next is the shrug. I kind of liked it, but it took me a while to figure out what to do, because I knew it would do something to do with the shoulders, and I knew if I felt the button in my shoulders, it'd mean that I'm doing it right. And it took me a while, as I said. And then it clicked. It's like, oh, that's how you do it. It turns out you just lift from the shoulders, like, as best as you can. And it actually really did give a good workout. I was feeling a bit tired after. Just pretty nuts. And also that's why my go over the alpha weird glitch in Clip Studio. Changed my colour for some reason as I'm doing a wave ripple. So the next one, did I say? Yeah, I can't do that. Is the lateral raise, and obviously I've done this before. I did do it again, but yeah, it still felt difficult. Not sure about it. Next one is the front raise. This was different, but I think I could do that better than the lateral raise. Because one of the things with, I'll go into this in the bicep curl actually, I won't mention it now. But it will explain one of the issues I have with lateral raises. Similarly with bicep curls as well. But yeah, some very interesting stuff anyway. I said I can't do that. Arms. Hammer curl. I can do the hammer curl. You do it sitting, which is different. I tried to do it the best I could. I was on the edge of my bed, not obviously the safest way. But again, what choice do I have? I don't have a flat chair unless I go to the kitchen. And even then, it's a wooden chair. I don't trust that with 100 and what? How much am I with that weight, with those weights? 165 kilograms on a single fucking chair. No. No, I'm not doing that on a wooden chair. In fact, there are some I sit on like my dentist, which feel like they're so fucking flimsy, and I'm gonna fall through them. And then I'll have another fucking thing through my arse. Great. Anyway. Next is the bicep curl. I was always sort of weird about this, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Because I can do them, but there is an issue. And it relates to my left arm. And I don't know what it is, but there's like a good mark over the edge, and I think it might be a bicep tear. Where I got that from, I have no fucking clue. Well, let me look up bicep tear. Let's see if there's any images. No bruise, but is there any sort of... no, that looks like this is a Popeye thing. So what's this? Test don't miss rupture of the biceps. Biceps subtract after tear, wide increase to biceps distance. Yeah, I suppose it's a crease then, bicep crease. What was this then? It's a bicep crease interval. Crease. Nope, that's not it. I don't know, but I have some sort of crease on it. It's on the bicep itself, it's not in the elbow bit where it says it. These fucking images, which is a bit weird. But yeah, but because of that, I can't lift it properly. So when I lift it up, I go get about a quarter of the way through, and then I suddenly have to twist my arm. I have to really push into it to get it to work, not a weight problem. I can easily hold it on my left hand, but I can't lift it properly, which is so weird. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with it. But the right arm is fine, and that's how I know I'm doing it right. But I can't do it right with the left arm, so I'm always a bit unsure about that now. I don't know what the deal is, why it's like that. I don't even know what could have done it. I was lifting the 20 kilograms before, but I never torn anything. I don't recall ever tearing anything, unless it was maybe when I was moving. Even then I wouldn't have felt anything because I was lifting so much shit. Again, I just don't know. It's a very weird scenario, which I'm not 100% sure about. It's a very strange happenings there, I guess. What's next? Move the window for some reason. The still on arms, yeah. Triple kickback. I attempted it, and I said no. It's like, okay, I'll put it behind my head. See if I can lift it. No. Immediately I was sort of like, okay, that's too close to my head. Felt that. I guess more of a moment of panic, but I know that I can't do it safely. Especially with like the rate I would drop things every now and then. It's just not great. I even dropped my peanut butter lid the other day. Don't know how the fuck I managed it. I was holding it quite tightly, but now for some reason I didn't stupidly think to wash it and then put it back on, but I chucked it away and then put my peanut butter in a fucking bag in the top, not actually in the back. It's in a Ziploc rather. Anyway, so that's a no-go with the triple kickback. Next is the tricep extension. Yeah, I can do it. It's definitely much better because it's working with like the bottom of the bicep, I think, if I'm not mistaken, rather than the top. So it definitely works. I can feel the burn. I still feel it now. I can't feel my arms. I can't feel my legs. Anything. Just kidding about the legs, but I really can't feel my arms. Help. Yeah, but I could do it. Anyway, back. I was confused by a lot of these because some of these are similar. The reverse fly I already know I can't do because it's just the lateral raises, but just very difficult. Just bent over. So I wasn't sure about them from the offset. And it just felt very off to me, in my opinion. But yeah, it's just basically a bent over lateral raise. Almost similar to my, what do you call it, brute exercise now, is it? The ones I found on start page images. Well, you can probably find it, to be honest, anywhere. But yeah, it wasn't great, so I say it's a can't do because it's just exhausting and it doesn't do anything to my back. It does something to my arms, but not my back, which is very weird. It should be the opposite. Even then, the arms, I think, makes sense. Yeah, I don't think it's an accurate exercise if I'm correct here. Because if you're putting it into your back, then the problem is it's supposed to be held there. So you're not supposed to actually do a rep. And it's supposed to be your back lifting it up, but I don't know how. It's almost like doing lifting with your legs, essentially. That's essentially the same thing. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It feels a bit shit, in my opinion. Yeah, still, no go. What else is there? Trying to think. The next thing, because I'm doing artwork, single arm row. I was a bit confused by this. I think it's a not sure for me because I just don't know what to do. I think some of these I'm going to have to look up as I get into the core as well, especially because I want to work the core. Not sure about it. It just felt off to me. It felt like it wasn't doing anything to my back. I'm not sure what the feeling is supposed to be because it's not burning. I do feel a bit of it now, but I don't feel it at the time. It felt very off to me. Not sure if there's any sort of fixed or whatever. What else? So yeah, not sure. Next thing is the bent over rows. I already know these and I do like them. I can do them. They're quite fun. For some reason the bent over stuff is kind of doable. I don't know why, except for the lateral raise obviously. Or the fly. It's called the press fly I think, or something like that. Yeah, it's weird how some of this stuff works sometimes. Not exactly sure what it is with them. It just always feels a bit strange to me. But yeah, I suppose it's just things to figure out and things to work on. And I guess in terms of figuring out a routine, I think it will take some getting used to or something like that. Again, I'm not sure what it's going to take to do a lot of this stuff. I think it's going to be challenging to start and also to see results. I think the results are like the big thing because I think that's the main point of this anyway. I want to be stronger. But anyway, the next thing. The deadlift. I surprisingly liked it. I felt it actually this time. Which is why I sort of think I need to do research on the others. But I obviously do it again. But I think it's interesting for sure. There's definitely something there. I do like the deadlift. It felt very challenging at times. But I knew that I had to lift with my back because I figured that out in the end. Much like the shrug, it's like it has to click or it doesn't. It doesn't work. And it did click, thankfully. Yeah, getting there. Which is positive, I suppose. I don't know. Is this positive? Who knows? You know. Why didn't you tell me? Fuck's sake, man. Fuck's sake, viewer. Yeah, so that's the back. Next, I skip the legs because I don't really need to work them out. I do, like, literally walking, like, whenever I can on the treadmill. And I feel like it's unnecessary to do the leg workouts. I could be wrong. But I might need to do them in the future when I need to actually somehow get stronger to lift the heavier weights. So I'm not sure about it. Just another thing to wait and see, I suppose. What else? I'm trying to think. Is there anything else on this? I'm trying to figure out how to do the fucking whites on my thing. So I don't like the pixel stain brushes. I need to find something different. Oh, hello. Wait, they already have brushes for this. Fuck's sake. Are you kidding me? All this time? Just typical me, I think. That's just the way it goes. Ye olde dumbassery. Next thing, call. Because calls are quite interesting. Surprisingly, I wasn't sure about any of these. Because I didn't feel anything. I tried doing the brush and twist, and I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm supposed to do there. It just says twist and shows twist, holding the weights by the side, and I did that with my legs raised and my arms on the ground on my core. Didn't do anything. So I don't know what they even did. Not sure what I was supposed to do. So that was a bit confusing for me, not gonna lie. Felt very weird. So yeah, it definitely left me with a sort of sour impression, I guess. Because again, I have no idea what it's supposed to do, other than what they're called. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. So anyway, that's not short. Side bend. I rated this not sure, but I almost had an injury. I'm not sure how far I'm supposed to bend. That's the problem. It shows like a slight angle, like you're leaning your neck about 10-15 degrees to the direction. And I almost pulled my left, I think. Was it left? No, I think it was right. No. Yeah, my left actually, because I was stretching it. And I felt something go, but I don't know if that was good or not. Find out in the morning, I think. I take a shit. It turns out my intestines are twisted. My colon, maybe. Yeah, it felt very weird. Wasn't sure about it. So that's a no-go for me. But not sure. I mean, and the wood chopper, even weirder, because you can't tell what to do based on the image. Again, this is something I had to look up. I tried it. Tried doing like, okay, raise it up on the right, swing it down to the left, slowly, obviously, and then raise it again when I'm on the left and twisted, and do it to the right and repeat. No, it didn't do anything to my core, at least from what I could tell. So that was a no-go. Again, disappointing, because I feel like there should be something at this point, at this level as well that I'm doing it, to actually feel my core being worked out. And also, like, my BPM by this point is worth noting. From the arm stuff, I was already at about 100, 110, which is pretty good, I think. Walking rather, gets me to about 120 or so. Sometimes 160 actually, that's weird. But for some reason these took me down to about 90. So maybe I'm not doing something right. I didn't feel my blood pumping or anything during those anyway, the calls. So yeah, wood chopper, no-go. I'm not sure. And then finally the V-up, which was even weirder. I couldn't figure it out. I was doing it on my bed, and because I have like very sensitive testicles and penis for some reason, I can't exactly do the things that other people can do with that sort of stuff. So, like, it shows women doing it all the time, which feels a bit kind of. I wish I could be a woman sometimes. Maybe that's foreshadowing. But yeah, no, just at times actually, I just don't like having testicles. I hate the feeling. I just wish I could play with them. Yeah, that's weird. But they're basically outside eggs, so technically sort of all women. I'm everyone. It's all in there. So like V-ups are a no-go, and I actually didn't like them. I couldn't achieve them. It's just nothing of substance. Which is a disappointment, to be honest, because I felt like there could have been something there. Oh no, it was no-go. Nothing. It really sucked, because I feel like it would have been great. Oh no. Don't do. Anyway. Yeah, that's the exercises. Just what they do and how they do them, if I did. Not very well. That's for sure. So yeah, I shall move on. Well, this is weird and worrying. I went to the toilet as I usually do, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and I came back to see my login screen, even though I leave my PC on. And I immediately knew it was a fucking crash, because it just happened, but I just knew it was because it was unusual. I never put my PC like on hibernate or sleep during, let's say, when I'm going to the toilet, because I don't know how long it's going to take. If it's like 15 minutes or more, I will turn off my PC. But if not, then, you know, it's fine. I came back and I discovered and see it had restarted entirely. It forgot the things I'd opened. I don't know what happened. There's no Windows update, there's nothing. So I did a whole bunch of research, again, people being fucking useless all the time, because a lot of this stuff isn't helpful, and I tried to look for a solution, how to sort this out, because this shouldn't be happening. And what I come across was a dump file, and this dump file, it would not open with the right software. It's just like WinDump or something. I can't remember, it's called a Windows debug actually. and it's unreadable. I don't know what the fuck it said. Like, I really cannot suss it out. It's again very weird. Just seems like it's not well made. What I could tell, people saying, "Oh, this is how you read it. This is how you suss it out." How do you fucking read it then? If I open this up again, it's going to say the same thing. And this is a dump file that supposedly was created when it crashed. So, yeah. And I'm not really getting any info on this either. Response deferred, nope. Implicit, whatever that means. Repositories. Debug. Dump. Warning. Failed to read dump extension data. Oh, okay. So why did it fail? Well, that doesn't make sense, does it? Any codes that file only registers and track are available. Okay, so that's not helpful. Sounds like kernel base. I don't know. Again, I don't know what this is. So update. Not helpful. It's not saying anything. Yeah, I do not know what this is. It's not really saying anything. I don't have any thing here. So it has a stop debugging thing, but I don't know what that is. So I just need to know like the error. Error, no, none. Critical, nope, none. And the thing is, I looked at Event Viewer as well, and there is nothing there. There's nothing that indicates it. It just says shut down and I think a NVIDIA thing again, which happens. NVIDIA shit, it seems. It says like frame VDK, SDK or whatever it is. It doesn't work. Whatever that means. It's very weird. I don't understand it exactly. Like even if I solve it again, the only things from today, I started at 10:34, and the info on it is not helpful. Previous system shut down. For some reason 20 minutes before this, I don't know what that's about. I'm not sure what it means, because I was here 20 minutes before, so that's already weird. And then an error from a source called Volga. I don't know what that is. I tried looking it up, and again nothing. I tried looking up again, Volga. Blue screen of death, Volga, and kernel power. And 401 just means just shut down correctly. Volga means that there's an issue with a storage drive on a machine. I'd expect it to have an NVMe. Okay. This machine is new. I'd expect to have an NVMe. Yeah. That makes sense. I do have a drive plugged in, so there is that possibility. I don't know. Because I still see it. That's the issue. Like, it even has my old Windows on it, which is interesting. But everything's here, so I don't exactly know what's going on. My SATA, got my external, and that's it. No idea. And what does this say then? Are you getting the uncorrectable error BSODs if that's the NVMe as the main suspect? Interesting. Maybe I could back that up if I do a search in the debug. Nope, not there. Could do nope, that's not coming up. It's good that it's not the NVMe actually, because that might mean it's recoverable. You know, if this PC ever does kick the bucket again, I could just do that. At the same time, there was another error. It's a kernel critical power. Whatever this is, like, what was kernel power? So what's kernel power? Keywords. don't know. I'll look out kernel. Because it's going to be a big indication to what's causing system issues. What's my glasses dirty? This is checking the glasses, there's no significant error kernel, which means there's an error with the hardware itself. I knew it. This happened when the processor overheating, getting low power, the motherboard in the power supply. In this case, I recommend updating your BIOS. Issue resist. Contacting. Okay. Sure. I don't know. But there is a thing that happened the other day which I thought was interesting about video drivers. Because someone said to install DDU. And I thought, okay, let's install this and get the new driver. Because I thought, new driver, I don't need to, obviously, do anything after DDU. And it turns out, they made it as fucking complicated as possible. Like, why, I don't know. But DDU, for some reason, requires safe mode to run. And I don't have a clue how to run safe mode. Especially on this system. Because the last time I ever did that, it had consistent crashes, even in safe mode. So there wasn't a safe mode. It was a lie. So I don't know exactly how to do that, because even though it'd be useful to uninstall drivers, we still run into that issue, and I need to do it immediately. I am going to do it in a second, I'll try. But I don't know. Again, it's like really concerning. I don't understand why a lot of this shit is so complicated, and it just feels like it shouldn't be. Because if it is like a driver issue, as indicated by the video card sort of thing here being the problem with some of these things, it's just a bit silly. And I got the warning, which for some reason, yeah, it's got warnings showing. 3 seconds after the driver Woodford failed to load. There's a device HID vid, whatever this is, which is interesting. I don't know what that is, I can't search it, so what's it? Device HID. I could do the driver, like driver Woodford? Hang on. It's Woodford. Failed to load. That will come up. What's not over screenshots, nothing. There's just someone repeating the things again. I can tell it's the same users just posting all the time. It's all anonymous, so I don't know, it's not helpful. Not any indication to what it could be. I wonder if it's the same error code. Same error code, actually. Same thing. No. Nope. 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 Nothing. So I have no idea. It's just not simplified, so I can't read it. But as far as I know, it's not the issue. And the computer bug check or something starts to come back on. Don't put saved. Maybe that's why. So maybe there was like a blue screen when I wasn't here. That makes sense. Anyway, I think I better get this done and hope for the best and get back to music, hopefully. This is just frustrating as hell. I don't like troubleshooting and stuff. It just feels really shit every time, and this sort of error stuff really gets on my nerves, and admittedly it's not the first one in the past few months, it's been quite a few. It's also how I know my system's dying and why I even designed that budget build to begin with. Just an emergency, grab a loan, get just the parts I need, and that's that. And I'll be happy with it anyway because it'll just run. It's got upgradability in the future anyway. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. But yeah, I shall move on. Well, that was an interesting events of turn of events, turn of events, turn of turn events. Yeah, I just recycled every one of them. I'm missing another two. But anyway, so I did the things, and I think it's kind of worked. From what I can tell, I have to play a game first to see, because I'll explain the first thing. So obviously the crash was worrying, scary in fact, very low, scary, and I was thinking, okay, well, if it's crashed, then I just need to try. I need to try something new, and I figured that I might as well. So, first thing I did was I looked into DDU, and obviously, as I said, it's complicated, and it is, but someone actually had a better video to boot in safe mode, good enough, and you just hold shift and click restart, that's it. And you get to go to troubleshoot, advanced options, startup options, and restart, and then you pick number 4. Somehow I remember that because it's that simple. And you don't have the networking either. So I think anyway, you couldn't see any, it didn't let me connect it into that. So you had the option there, which is very interesting. So obviously it's working, which is interesting. The fact that that worked is like, wow. I guess thanks. Wish I could say the channel was, but I don't remember the name. Yeah. Anyway, so I did that. I did DDU, and I was already a bit confused about the interface. I just decided to risk it, even with obviously like bricking my PC. Because at that point, with the amount of crashes I have, fuck it. If it bricks, who cares? I'll get a loan. I'll get a new PC. Simple. And that's it. And unfortunately the parts are actually the full build aren't too bad, it's just a small loan of £2,000. Hey, yikes. But no, that seems to be the only option. So I ran it, and it confronted me with a bunch of options that I wasn't familiar with because I didn't watch a tutorial, because there's no point. People say you just run DDU and don't really explain much else. They say to be careful, don't say anything else, which is a bit dangerous in my opinion. But the advice should just be don't click anything else until you see the tutorial site. So that often like puts a dampener on things, to be honest. So yeah, I did that, and I was confused a bit because everything was greyed out. It does it, you have to click the video driver thing, NVIDIA, and then I think it is like it's GPU and then NVIDIA, that's it. It's a different way around. And you then click clean and restart, and it does it, but it was delayed and I was confused. I almost thought, okay, maybe it's crashed, maybe it's not working now for some reason, and that was worrying. And then it fixed itself supposedly, and it came back, yay, finally. And then it restarted, and then this is where some anxiety started, because also I forgot to say the BIOS. I looked at the BIOS briefly before doing any of this, and I saw my fan curves were all at 100% for every temperature. This explains why my PC gets so fucking warm. It's at 100% the whole time. I don't know if this was a issue from PC specialist from all these years back. I don't feel it is, to be honest. Feels like a quite obvious thing, especially for like noise normalized firmwares and stuff. You kind of want to present your best PC. So putting it at 100% is a bit stupid anyway, just all the time. And if it was my fault, then it's probably to do with a blue screen I had about 2 years ago, relating to CPU or something, which is also going to be interesting to see if that happens. Because there's like some crash that would only be fixed with that. With changing some setting in the BIOS, which I can't exactly remember the entire point of. Yeah, very interesting. So I fixed that, and it seems to be on its way. For some reason I don't have like 2 fans or 6 running, whatever that's supposed to be. I think there's supposed to be more case fans. which kind of explains a lot. For some reason it seems like the motherboard recognises that there's supposed to be 6K spans, but there's not, obviously. And how I set that up, I have no clue. Don't ask. I think when I sell this all, obviously I'm just going to downmark the price. Anyway, yeah, I rebooted it after the DDU, and I actually panicked a bit because I saw, one, my screen was slow, two, there was no second monitor, which is unusual because I have a second monitor and it just wasn't working. I plugged and unplugged it, didn't do anything. And I tried to run the NVIDIA app to see if I can reinstall the drivers, the recent ones, and it refused to launch. Panic. It's the only word that describes it. I had no clue what this was, why I was doing it. So I went back and I managed to restart. I restarted the PC, I didn't do a backup, I just restarted. And thankfully it fucking worked. I noticed when my second monitor came on, okay, we're in good territory now. And then I managed to open up the app. Thankfully it worked, and the control panel, which never used to work because it stopped working after a while. And it ran. It installed the drivers and it seems good. I've enabled HDR as well just to see if it'll do anything. I don't think my videos are bugging out yet, which is good. Even after putting it to sleep. See, like, it's a Simpsons video for some reason. No bug yet, but we'll wait and see. Although it does sort of grayscale a bit for some reason. I don't know why HDR does that. And I don't really notice the HDR, to be honest. I had to put vibrance up a bit in the video control panel because it looked so fucking grey on the desktop, I just couldn't stand it. Yeah, but that's all I've needed to do, I think. I don't think there's anything else, but I did look at my task manager quickly to see what was going on. FL Studio is eating my memory, which is very concerning. It seems to have gone down now, but it was about, my memory was at about 96% usage for 32 gigabytes, which is not leaving me very inspired for my next system, which has 48 gigabytes of memory. And I can't even determine what's using it. It's impossible to know. As for CPU, there's like very minimal usage. It's about as consistent, 15 to 30%. And also when I put the fan curves on optimized, just because that's the option it had, just optimized it. I'm not going to fiddle around with it that much. It said it was 60 to 63 degrees, which is worrying. So I think there is possibly a fan pump issue, and if it gets to obviously thermal throttling or whatever it is, like TJ Max, I think it is called actually, then there is going to be a problem, I think. But that'll be something for the next owner to figure out, I think. Because again, I'm not a PC guy, and if only there's some way you can actually trade it in. But yeah, so far so good. Just remains to be seen, to be honest. I think that's the only thing I could do now. There isn't really anything else I can do at this point, because it's just a lot to figure out. But yeah, I don't really know what else there is. So that's interesting. I think my NVMe is like taking data reading data when I play my guitar, which is very interesting. It's not like restricted to the memory, which is curious. Anyway, although my GPU is being used by 3D a lot for some reason, this wallpaper engine is on okay. Not sure what that could be, to be honest. Maybe it's video decode is a different thing though. Video encode. No, I'm not sure actually. Dedicated memory is being used for some reason, about 2.5 gigabytes. Yeah, all systems are a go, question mark. And I think with the, obviously, the fan optimized thing, it's going to be better for noise. I've already noticed a drastic difference. Doesn't sound like a plane taking off, and it doesn't feel like a plane is taking off. In fact, probably because of how this feels now. I reckon that the radiator might have been distributing a lot of heat when it was running the fans really fast. Which, yeah, probably sounds about right. Because I reckon the fans create some sort of heat itself. That's just my theory. Which is why it has these issues rather. Yeah, I haven't got anything else to talk about here, I don't think. Very weird. I don't totally understand it. Feels a bit strange with having to do a technical issue thing, diagnostic. Not my forte, it's not anything I'd like to do. But either way, I don't feel rewarded. That's the thing. I have to see it to believe it, and I wouldn't even feel rewarded even if I did manage to succeed in solving the issue. But also, I have to wait for another sort of issue to come up to see if it even had any effect. So there's already another thing in consideration there. Just not inspiring in the slightest. And I do wonder if like the system I built designed rather. Am I going overkill with the 270k plus? I don't know. Because even though the workflow stuff rather is not too big, not too harsh of a thing on usage of anything, I still think it does create some headroom though, and that's the main thing that keeps me sticking with that CPU. Same with the Samsung 990 Pro 4TB. Again, gives me headroom. And same with the motherboard, headroom. And I do have a non-headroom based build, as I've said before, but that's in an absolute emergency. Yeah, so I could check event viewer quick. EV? No, not EV. EV. I can't spell event viewer without spelling EV. And system logs, just filter, just to gather them. Trying to do stuff. I'm also trying to make music. A sec. Well, I made up. So I got lost in the moment there. I thought I found some sort of what's that song Basement Jacks? Where's your head at? I thought I figured that out for some reason. Let's see, errors with this. I saw the drivers, that's nothing really. Video frame view, SDK. Service terminated, specific error, percentage, whatever, DHCP, what's up with that? Oh, it's the sound, I switched it, because it told me it switched the sound thing, which is weird. Also, I need to disable them. I don't use the speaker monitors, obviously, monitor speakers. I don't know why they even on there. I wish Windows allowed you, or rather the sound thing, allowed you to get rid of the stupid fucking thing. Where is it anyway? Where's it gone? It used to be here. Sound settings. There it is. Weird. If some reason it's got like multiple there, it's got says default communication and stuff, and disable the monitors, like what the fuck? Why would I ever use the monitors? It's so weird. And microphones, are we good there? Yeah. So far so good. Yeah, so anyway. That's an update. Again, it has to remain to be seen, but we'll see. If it goes wrong, I'll report on it. If it doesn't, I will not. I don't think. And in terms of like applications open, like LibreOffice takes very little, which is surprising. Just wish it remembered your last application. It's always annoying to scroll back down, especially on the smaller windows, which it remembers. Word doesn't. Yeah, when you scroll back down on smaller windows, it's like really annoying. Sorry, is it doing? Scroll back down. It's like defaulting to the top for some reason. I don't know why. When I try to scroll it down with the bar. Maybe that's actually giving it enough headroom there. Okay, I think I fixed it. Yeah, Anyway, I should fucking move on. I've got so much stuff to do. I've got to set up the audio interface to test it again, which is annoying. I'm also going to be testing it with gaming, obviously. I've got my old headphones here. I actually have Beyerdynamics D770, something like that. It hasn't got a headband at the moment, but I do have one that might go around it in a pinch, and it depends. I might get a new pair. Because the thing is peeling off with the fucking ear pads. I hate ear pads that peel off. So annoying. Anyway, I've got to move on. Well, that was depressing. What I just witnessed. It does feel a bit unfair in some ways, but in others it's kind of like, she kind of, yeah, fair. I'm not really sure whether to name drop the person, but there's a streamer that I was sort of following because she didn't have any sort of, what's it, like, apparently she's vegan, that's the point, and she gets like viewerships in the thousands. She was talking about relationships and also like women anatomy, which is interesting. I didn't know this about women's anatomy. Stuff like there's different things to consider, like egg deprivation, and also things like sperm and stuff like having degrading effects as you age. There's a lot of stuff I didn't actually know. We're not taught any of this at school, which is it should be a crime. But what I think is really concerning about this, so from what I've seen so far, it's just the fact that this topic just uncomfortably went into, oh, women are great architects, which feels very sort of, is it red pill or, I can't remember. There's like a sort of pill that basically admits that, and sort of pushes the idea that women are like in a, like bound to a contract with men, just by default, because they're women. They're meant to be child bearers and objects, which sucks. And this sort of rings true of that, to be honest. And there were obviously some good arguments made where there is a lot of issues around, for example, men rushing into relationships and sex more so than women. And yeah, that is an issue. And sadly, as a man myself, or male, I can attest that horniness is off a fucking charts a lot of the time, even when you don't really realise it. It can also happen just unexpectedly. I remember going to a restaurant at one point, and all that was going through my head was like, oh my god, what if I did this and that in my imagination? And it's like, okay, it's getting crazy, I can't have this erection whilst I'm at a restaurant. It's a bit embarrassing. But yeah, there's sort of a bit of a insight into the mindset of obviously men who rush, I guess, because I'm sort of like that, I suppose. And yeah, it's been a long time since I've talked about anything relationship related, because I've just found it a very uncomfortable topic, and also I don't feel too qualified given I've only had 2 relationships as an adult and almost had another before. It's just so concerning, because even then, like, men struggle with men as well. It being that I'm pansexual, there are others who are gay and do struggle as well. But as part of the advice, which I didn't really like, because it's just not a good prospect, and that is how, again, women are the architects, which I don't really like, because the point of it that was made with this is that it was equated to picking like the best looking peacocks, for example. And what I feel is silly about it is just the fact that they go by looks. Like, it's really more of a thing I disagree with in terms of why it is in an animal's nature, or even just humans, why do you pick the best looking person? I think there is a very big argument to be made about overriding that, as in choosing to pick someone through who they are rather than appearance, because I think that's a really big point to make. And there's also that discussion about whether you want to have a child with someone who's like autism or neurodivergent in general, or has like other issues that can be passed down genetically. Well, I know depression can apparently be passed down genetically. But this is what we're talking about here, and if we are going by appearance, then by default, anybody with a single mental health issue is not a good candidate, like we're correct term. Or is it sweeter? Sweeter? I don't know. You know, that's the issue. We can't be basing things off appearance, for sure, and we can't even be basing it off that. Again, the idea that there's only like an architect in this, like women. I think that's a dangerous mindset to have. I see so many drawbacks to that sort of system, because it doesn't mean that, you know, say, I don't know, what's a good looking man in acting? I guess, I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix, kind of good looking. Weird, maybe a bit weird. But, you know, you might feel attracted to Joaquin Phoenix, but the thing is, it doesn't necessarily demonstrate character. And I think character is as important as appearance, because I think character and appearance are two different things entirely. And the other thing is that appearance can be deceiving. Like, many men can work out and get stronger. In fact, I'm starting to notice the effects of my workouts a bit more. My arms, I feel like the muscles forming in them, with the twisting around my bicep is like the main part. But you know, it's something that happens. And I find it weird when, obviously, there's this relationship based off appearances, which I don't feel is beneficial. As I said, appearances can be deceiving. Sorry, I had to do it. Ironically, smells can be deceiving. But it's a real, like, I don't know, like being kicked down sort of thing, because men already are going through a loneliness pandemic, a currently standard epidemic, not pandemic. And this creates multiple problems. It creates the idea that some men just feel like they're not attractive, and then it could sort of lead them down a rabbit hole of inceldom. And yes, like, I agree with like women as well who say that men are like too pushy and too like misogynistic or too like sexual and stuff. Like, I agree with that 100%. It's those sort of men that I detest, not because I'm like, I don't agree with them, just full stop. But I detest them because they create a bad name for innocent men. That's it. That's the entire thing. Yeah, I'm just so tired of that shit. It really does piss me off, like, so much. Yeah, like, this shit is just horrible. I don't exactly understand why there are men that just push themselves to that sort of front. I guess it's like a fight or flight sort of thing. And obviously some choose fight and people like me choose flight. So I don't really engage in that. And I know when I was going through the anguish of being a virgin, yeah, that created some interesting issues for me. I just didn't cope well at all. It caused me various issues, and I was not happy with that. So that creates issues, and again, the loneliness epidemic was like partly to blame for this as well. I think where that comes from, obviously, is that it just creates more terrible men. And there's always this argument from women, sadly, that just says, "Oh, you shouldn't be a conservative asshole then." Do I sound like a fucking conservative asshole to you? As far as I'm aware, I've always been left-wing, at least from 2017. And I guess I fell down the wrong rabbit holes before that point. But Jesus Christ, it's really something else. But to also like pass the blame on something that's just very inherent and we should listen to the evidence on, it's just very bad for even just any argument. Which is again why I find something like this so frustrating and disheartening as well. Because again, it just causes more harm than good. And we want to obviously stop that. We want to cause good. And that's creating many more problems than we have already. It's not doing anything for anyone. And again, for men especially, as I said, when bad men do things, that creates a bad name for the good men. Even then, a persistent man is just going to get their way anyway because they're constantly in your fucking face. And it's not good to feed that sort of behaviour, so there's always a point to be made where everyone's doing something wrong here. And in the end, I think the only thing you can agree on is people shouldn't be basing it off of appearances. There's always going to be the biggest mistakes. There are good looking people that just are complete arseholes. And there are also bad looking people who look like arseholes and are arseholes or whatever. But that's not a good thing to base a sort of possible partner on. Not at all. It might be the way that starts, and that's a good thing. It starts like a friendship and a relationship, and obviously goes on and on, hopefully. But again, it's not the most optimal way. So I think it's worth making the point that this is what used to happen. Maybe I'm communicating it poorly. But again, there needs to be a world where there is a consideration there. I'm not sure how to explain it. I kind of struggling a bit. Was I getting a bit distracted? What was I thinking of? Yeah, just don't base things off appearance. In any situation, if someone looks good, fine, give it a try, but I wouldn't even guarantee it. Because it's even a thing that sometimes like gay men can struggle with. In fact, we struggle with the opposite. I'll say that much. It's not appearances that matter. In fact, anyone likes anyone, I think. You even find sort of like the cougar equivalent in some men, which is also pretty nice to think about. But we struggle with character, and that's one of the biggest problems in gay spaces. So I 100% know what it's like to struggle to find someone to sell with. Even then, I've communicated with men before who've seemed like really nice people and it's genuine, and then it turns out that they're just like complete weirdos and stuff. Even then, I've persisted with someone who's been weird, and I ended up distancing myself from them because their character is not good. Like, yes, they're positive and stuff, but that's not what attracts me. I want someone who's kind of vulnerable in a way, because I feel like there's like a mutual, not interest, other than like-mindedness. It's not even the correct term though. There's like some similarity there that we share. I definitely feel like I'm vulnerable in many areas. Is where that comes from to begin with. Yeah, I don't know. It's just very weird. I don't exactly know how to communicate it. I just feel like that's one of the things here. And we struggle with that sort of shit. And it's not acknowledged. Again, the fact that even men can experience this sort of thing, it's just baffling to me. But yeah, I find this entire discussion very uncomfortable. It's not a great topic either. It's quite disheartening as well to hear. Absolutely, though, there is a lot of cases to be made that women are in the minority here. I think that's very much obvious. Especially an oppressed minority. But we also can't disregard the facts here. Again, on the other facts, it's just that loneliness epidemic. It happens too often. I see rejection from between two people or other, and the problem is that it leads some people into a conservative state because it becomes a sort of revenge politics, and that's what happens. Some people get pushed far enough to a point where they take the fight response and they start to fight against the ones who hurt them. And that kind of happens too often, I think. Even though I do think there's a point to mocking conservative arseholes, at the same time, trying to reason with them is probably one of the best things you can do. Because it will show someone that you can think and care for them, potentially, and guide them in the right direction. I think that's extremely important. If we're not doing that, then we're just letting them take that course, just becoming corrupt arseholes and with no value to society whatsoever, including ones who have like paraphilias and paedophilia. Like, there's so many different types of people out there, again, so many risks as well. Again, you risk that sort of thing happening more because you just don't decide to give people a chance. And what I also think is really concerning as well is inherently, and I think I've seen good proof for this anyway, I think I've seen women have a much better chance at basically becoming, actually like dealing with stress, not becoming, dealing with stress. And that is a thing that most men would fucking love, I think, because, you know, as a guy myself, it's really difficult to deal with stress. It becomes such a concern that you just end up struggling and failing in many things, in many areas, because of the stress. And that does create a big dampener of things and also creates more issues, which is again why I bring up the fact that you shouldn't judge a character even just based off of the mental health issues they have. If someone's schizophrenia, who cares? Find out if they're a decent person behind schizophrenia. If they're autistic, find out if they're a decent person besides the autism, because that shouldn't be the priority. Like, yeah, there might even be more demands with someone who's autistic, someone who's even quiet, like I am. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get a better character than someone with empathy who's been through literal hell, because they're going to be the stronger people, which is why I think also basing appearances off of, oh, he looks strong, is not accurate. People can be mentally strong, and that's more important than, again, physically strong. I'd rather people base it off that. I really don't understand the mentality. It reminds me a lot of the sort of stupid advice I used to hear as a kid, given to my sister, sadly, about picking a rich man to fall in love with, which thankfully didn't happen, although I don't agree with the boyfriend at the moment. That's another thing entirely. But I just think it's very concerning that that's sort of advice, and then it's also a type of misandry. There's also other types of misandry in a lot of like women's spaces, I think. And ironically, I think this is like a type of misandry. Like a lot of the backlash against like men who've tried to date and then get condemned for trying. It's just insane. It does happen a lot. I remember from trying myself years ago, it never worked out. And in the end, the solution for me was just to stay alone, distance myself from that, more importantly, and to be with myself. There's things that I can do that a relationship would not, and the relationship, as I started to realise, actually might create a dampener on my own life, where I can't achieve my dreams or just live out my own like best life, because the relationship would get in the way. And I already feel that with family and friends, so it kind of backfires in a way. There's not like a dampener as in, oh, it makes me feel like shit, well, it does in the family case. I really enough have had more better times around friends, but that's another thing entirely. But it can literally do that. That's why I think it's important to have these discussions and get to the bottom of things. And get to understand someone's feelings if they have those issues. Again, like schizophrenia, autism, even a paraphilia ensemble or twist of events. Then you need to understand it. Know what can help someone, what can change someone even. In the case of paraphilia, hopefully anyway. I get to understand people better. What makes them tick and what see they struggle with. See if you can do something. And that's what it should be about in relationships. You know, if obviously you're not aiming for a child, you can always have a donor for a child. It's always an option if you want one. But if you're obviously trying to get with someone to do that, it's not always the best way. Yes, it may not be your own flesh and blood, but it is certainly an option. And even then, adoption is a thing, and there's plenty of children that need love anyway. Because for most of them, it's being taken from them, it's being robbed, or it's just being unfairly done onto them. That's really sad reality as well. Again, that's why I think the sort of female architect sort of thing is a bit of a disgusting analogy. Again, it feels very, I'm going to say, even though it's probably wrong, but red-pilled. It's very much reminiscent of what that community believes. And, you know, even besides the fact that it may be fact, this doesn't change the fact that we can also change societally. We have that evolution in us. We can change that perspective. In fact, people have weird fucking fetishes, like even fetishizing autism, for example, and even, say, disability. You know, there's a lot of these things, even trans people. Again, there's a lot of fetishes out there. I think people should also be simultaneously honoured to even have that. The fact that you're acknowledged is in itself a very interesting aspect. See, many people condemn it, even if they do dabble in it. Again, I think being fetishised in a way has its own benefits. It can even possibly even extend empathy. You never know. I think especially if that time comes, if someone's going to you, like, are you a trans girl? And you maybe uncomfortably say, like, who's asking? Maybe. And eventually you reveal it, and they're like, oh, can I see a picture? And also it's getting, like, really creepy. But you should take the opportunity to educate them. Say something like, I'm flattered that you think about this. I think about us this way, but please treat us with dignity. We're not objects. And I think you have to try and inspire people to get them to change. So they change their ways and the way they view everyone else. I could be wrong. There's probably many different approaches that can take. And even then, I think you should also try and prove it with them as well. Certainly make a case for something like developing a relationship even then, even with something, even in a situation like that. It seems impossible, but you probably can, and that's sort of what I've done with people I've wanted to try and date, unsuccessfully. But I got to know people more. I actually got to know someone on a dating app a while ago, and it's definitely when I was doing it. It's actually probably the last person I attempted to find a date with. But yeah, when I was talking, I got to know the person, and I found out something interesting. Like, he liked drag, which I was kind of like, okay. Yeah, even though I'm not the biggest fan of drag, I definitely think I'll be open to the idea. I wouldn't complain. But I have no like judgment around it. And I also think it's really sad that someone like this couldn't find a relationship. The only terrible thing about this that happened is that I got ghosted. I don't know what happened, if anything. It also could have been just the fact that his work stuff involved obviously an anonymity to some extent. So there's also that aspect to it. They potentially meant that, you know, can't be seen with me. But either way, it is an attempt to spoil all this. I've even got to know some people in like Discord, for example, very closely, and it's even some that I know for a while that have had interactions with me. And that's the benefit. That's what you get through trying to get to know someone. That's why I make this big fucking point about trying to base your relationships or partners, potential partners, off of that aspect. Like who someone is and how willing they are. Which was a point certainly brought up in this stream that I also disagree with many of the other points following that. And again, I'm no relationship expert, sure, no relationship expert, but I really do think this is a thing. And it also becomes this disgusting thing that I hate about nature, to be fair, about survival of the fittest, which, yeah, it basically sucks because it means it feels like suicide in human society. I don't think people realise this, but survival of the fittest is a direct cause of suicide. I could be mistaken, but to me it is. I thought about it long and thought about it personally, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to end my life was just because I'm not fit for society. And everyone says I feel so sorry for you, and then don't even follow up with a fucking action. That's not doing anything for me. Just saying these things and proving again the point that I'm not fit for society is not helping. It's better off if people just stay silent in that situation, because they're not dedicating any time to changing this outcome. So even if it's survival of the fittest you want, then it will be genocide of the weak. That's the opposite. Because obviously surviving, being fit, that goes hand in hand. But when it comes to people who are weaker, obviously they'll start to die off. And also potentially just be targeted anyway. It already does happen. And what we're saying, it happens with discrimination. Obviously misogyny being part of it, but there's also LGBTQ+, there's also disability, there's also race. Again, so many parts of it. And the only reason that you could consider some of these weak isn't because of obviously like physical strength and stuff or mental strength. It's just the way that the world perceives them. There's nothing to do with who you are deep down, because actually everyone has their strengths, I think, and can be stronger than others in many other ways. Like empathy is more common in people who've been discriminated against, but for other people, to them, it may not seem like that. They'll still be considered weak, especially for having empathy. But that's the harsh reality. And again, I think having this attitude is really an attitude problem. I think that's what I'm going to call this. Towards potential partners is just going to create a big divide. And also create the loneliness epidemic that you say you're not complicit in, yet very blatantly are, because of this attitude. God, it reminds me of another streamer that actually talked about that sort of thing, like saying, actually said on Blue Sky, I think, saying like the most attractive men are the good looking ones. And it wasn't even like a discussion around actually like the good looking and positive ones, I think. It's actually what was said. And it just feels so shit. That's again genocide of the weak. That's what it is. It's genocide of the weakest, because that means ugly men are just not suitable, and it's like, what the fuck? I know we have preferences, for sure, and I don't think anything could change it. But in reality, it will divide you. It will essentially conquer everything, unless somebody changes it. Unless you change the course of action there. And start to focus on parts where it really matters. Again, like character. I don't even know what else to say here. I also just feel it's a disgusting attitude to keep, once again, because it feels like there's a specific niche here. Like, again, you're trying to target someone who's like more attractive. You're trying to get really unrealistic things here, which is another thing I need to mention. But it's really unrealistic to actually expect a good character and a good appearance at the same time. I truly don't think they exist. And I think if they do, it's rare. That's why you see weird shit all the time. That's why you find desperate men stalking women. That's why you find even weirdos in the gay community who only obsess over sex. It's really an attitude problem. And whatever the other thing was I said, fuck, for some reason I blanked. Damn it, wish I could remember what it was now. I don't know, but basically just taking your chances with someone you may not be attracted to may even be the best thing. You never know until you try, and even then, it's just another experience. And the more experience you have, the more you start to think. It's going to make you figure out eventually who's best suited for you, whatever. Like whoever it is, whatever it is. Yeah, as I've said, my solution ended up being staying alone. Because that seems to be my strength. I guess I'm better when I'm alone. I'm also happier when I'm alone. Because a relationship probably can put too much of a burden on me. I think the main thing is I can find my own happiness in this situation. For some people it's not always possible, but for myself personally, it definitely is. I feel like I can explore many aspects of my life. In fact, I just got a fucking dildo recently. Just on a different note. But I'm going to try this very fantasy-like one. Because I've tried butt plugs, but I think it might be worth trying one of these if I can get the sort of polyp situation dealt with, because it seems to be a big dampener, ironically. My thing, although I am a bit sensitive to be fair with what I feel inside me, so I'm not 100% sure. Even then, it'll just be a fun thing to try. Yeah, again, that's sort of where it is, and this also should go without saying, but you don't always need a relationship. I used to sort of be in that mentality before, when I was previously dating, obviously as an adult, just became one. And obviously I found someone online, and that lasted for almost a year, that ended. And after that I kind of felt, you know what, that was successful. I think that was a decent relationship, other than the problems we had with each other, which we both admitted, for sure. But after that I was sort of like, I kind of don't need anything, because that actually proves that I can have relationships, which is also a very strange thing about this, because people say, that's why you can't get one. I've had two since I've become a fucking adult. I don't know what people are trying to prove by saying you can't get one like the way you want, when I obviously do. Again, I have to encourage an attitude shift, and even the second relationship, it really came as an attitude problem towards me, of all people. Like, a quiet person like me, for some reason, there's a problem there. I don't 100% understand why, but that's kind of the issue there. I don't think you can change these traits again. Again, big point, just make a point of finding your own happiness. You don't need a relationship. And especially these days, I think it's sort of a trap to be in a relationship just to make children. Especially just making children anyway. Climate change is a huge issue, and I think it should be a controlled thing at this point. Well, climate change, obviously, but children as well. I don't think anyone should be bringing children into this world. The way it currently is, it's just certain death and disappointing future. That's what it feels like. I want it to be proven wrong, but that's the way it is. But yeah, ain't got anything else to add, so I shall move on. Just remembered the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is something that really pissed me off. Jesus Christ. I was looking to potentially get a takeaway. I haven't had one in ages, and I haven't been out in a while either. In fact, I don't think since my colonoscopy. It's actually, yeah, 7th August last out, okay. It's been 10 days, but I was thinking I'm treating myself, and so I did a bit of research. I did find somewhere new where I lived, and I did check it out, seeing it had vegan options. But it doesn't say if everything is vegan. It says only a select few, which is stupid, and one of the things it says is suitable for vegans is something with yogurt, which isn't, unless specified. Which I find confusing, because I know you can obviously get vegan yogurt, I've used it. Why is this even labelled vegan? And you're not specifying what type it is, especially for people with like soy intolerance. Because soy would be like the most toxic thing to those people. So it's a bit nuts, but that isn't what I'm mainly complaining about. It's not just like the mislabeling thing and where I think companies should pay attention, or say companies, maybe restaurants and takeaway places. But it's also an issue to do with the places that are obviously selling this stuff, like distributing it, I guess. Like for example, when I looked at Uber Eats, because I don't use this, I've never used it. When I looked up my local area, all that came up was things that weren't even vegan and things that were just shops. Literally just shops. So I have no idea what the fucking deal that is. I was so confused by it. But shops for some reason were one of the bigger things there, which I find weird. Like, why are you showing shops? I don't need anything from here. No, I don't need anything from the supermarket. So what gives? I don't understand. It's just very confusing to me. I don't really understand why that's there. I think it's really shitty personally to obviously just show supermarkets and little convenience shops. Because why are you doing that? I get there's a need for instant deliveries, like where you may need it. But even then, some of them don't offer all the options, so it's kind of pointless. But I also feel you just shouldn't display these things when you're looking for a takeaway. You're looking for something to be delivered for food, for just quick consumption. And I get it for like meal deals maybe, but again, it feels very dishonest when I see something like Just Eat, because that's the other example. I see it sort of filtered by vegan, and then all that comes up is supermarkets and a few restaurants. Why the fuck are you just showing the supermarkets when I don't want that? I just want restaurants. There's not a single filter there, so you're already losing profit because you won't filter it properly. And again, there's mislabeling. Some only offer one option, and some just say the sources are vegan. Which is just so baffling. What the fuck are you doing? These places are just so dumb. And I just don't want to deal with them anymore. I really do not feel like getting into the entire bullshit here with trying to essentially get the, what do you call it? Like, I just don't want to get into the fucking shit there. Where I'm, again, blacked out again. Something's going weird on my PC. What is it? I'm trying to think what it is now. Basically, all I want is something from a restaurant, but I'll do it through like their own places, because some places actually do that. They have their own sort of takeaway delivery system. You can choose collection on it as well. Luckily, there are places like that where I live, but my God, it's stupid. But even then, I found restaurants that say they have those options, and they don't even have a proper Kontakt. I found ones that are labelled as like having vegan options, but they don't label what it is. It's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? They can't say that you have vegan options and then not list them. That just makes no sense. Because people can't just guess on these things. if it comes to Indian food, you can't guess whether something's going to have ghee in it or not, or even just milk, or even egg, or even the cross-contamination. But then there's something like Chinese food, maybe, and Thai food, and you have to sort of give a shit about the fact that, when you know it, there may be fish sauce in it, and maybe some sort of crustacean in it. So again, it's a massive fucking clusterfuck. There just doesn't seem to be any win here. I don't understand anymore. It makes no sense. Why the fuck this is even a thing? It genuinely makes no sense. But what an annoyance that is. I just again can't understand it. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. I just find this exhausting as a topic. It's so dumb. I just feel like everywhere I look there's some extremely nonsensical bullshit everywhere. Things that are just so unnecessary to have and just keep causing issues. Again, much like showing restaurants and takeaways together. Which still just doesn't make any sense. I cannot understand it. It genuinely makes no sense. Yeah, what a load of crap. I just kind of run my head around it again. So yeah. Anyway, I think I ought to move on. Getting sidetracked again, also by some recent screenshots and wallpaper engine. Some recent improved content. I do kind of need to find new wallpapers, but I don't use this a ton, to be fair. The wallpaper engine used to be pretty good, but it's a bit dodgy at times, and apparently there's some malware thing which doesn't inspire much. I hope that kind of inspiration. Who am I to judge? Also, the quality of things is a bit shit now, especially with AI. I wish things would be labelled AI though. I said that. But sometimes it's the only option. It's just really shit. At least you're not putting money towards it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to add. So I shall move on. I almost forgot about this. It's a weird thing because I was making my bed recently and I was like, usually do I have plushies on there, and I wanted to figure out how to stop some of the issues. Obviously I've talked about this before, but it's a different thing. I was talking about them falling off, and I seem to have found the solution. Basically tuck the tails behind the mattress as I always do, but I also put one of the smallest ones in front to sort of act as a mount sort of thing, well, to keep it in place. And that works, but I wasn't going to talk about this either. The other thing was actually about the Ralsei plushie. Because I wanted to figure out how on earth, how on the Aussie or whatever place you live in, you actually deal with this. So how do you actually get, this problem solved with the Ralsei plushie where the glasses keep falling off? Like how? It seems impossible. It took me a while to figure out. But eventually I managed it. Figured out a solution. After thinking smarter. Because I sort of figured it needs a way to stay on, isn't going to wear off over time, and it's going to at least stay for a bit, if not a while. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to figure out, and you didn't want to use tape because it would be reflective. Tape is often reflective anyway. So what I did in the end is I've got double-sided tape. This has the advantage of being matte, and it also sticks no matter what end you put it on. And it's really sticky. Seriously, the stickiest fucking tape I've ever known in my life. It's weird. I do not understand it. I do not want to know it. Forfeit it. Yeah, it is literally a thing. But I figured out if I do that on the middle part of Ralsei's glasses and I put spectacles, maybe. I put it on the middle part and on the back, it will have the advantage there of obviously doing that. Like, what even needs to be said? It's just a good solution overall, I think, anyway. Because it just keeps it stuck there, which is obviously the intent. So there's already that big advantage. But I put it on the ends on the back as well, just in case, so it stops it from slipping through. Although maybe a better solution would have been to puncture the spectacles or frame of the glasses rather with that, and put that into what is it fucking called? You know, just stick it behind the ears. That's basically what I'm thinking of. That seems to be like the most rational solution there. I just wanted to mention it. There isn't anything big to talk about, so yeah, I shall move on. I wanted to talk about this weird thing I came across. I was looking for a new fan, and I originally made this topic yesterday, but I've discovered something else that concerns me about this topic. So I'm trying to look for a new one because my bladeless fan just barely covers anything. It's not cooling me down at night, it's not really helping me sleep, it's warming up my room as well, which is not good, and I'd probably rather have this in the kitchen, to be honest. And yeah, I just find it really sucks. Well, I need to replace it. That's all I need to do, I think. But I decided to look for a suggestion for what fan to get, and it turns out it's not that simple, which I find incredibly frustrating, because it should be, but it's not. And I did some research, sort of, but I mainly did this through looking for a subreddit, and the subreddit I found was Buy for Life, which by the sounds of it may be promising, but there is a conspiracy, I should say. So it's got issues, and I'll say that much about it. But to me, it really feels like a dampener of things, because it is a good idea for a subreddit, but ultimately it's a gamble, because it depends on obviously what people suggest. And I wanted something, obviously a fan. I'm looking for something that works for a UK situation. I forgot to mention for a warm room. And nothing came up, it seems. And the only two comments I got were about this brand called Vornado. You can probably see this guy. And I looked it up, and Vornado doesn't really exist in the UK. It's quite rare, actually. Save that, Jesus. But it's so bizarre to me, the fact that this is a thing. Like, this brand seems very rare in the UK, and even then it's not too great of a thing, because it turns out that Vornado is it's just very dodgy. Not in the reliability sense, but it may as well be, because at the end of the day, it seems very sus for what it is. Because I can't find any info on this. That's the crazy thing. I don't really understand that. So it's very weird. I'm trying to think what else was. Oh yeah, the thing is with Vornado is they don't sell fans. They sell circulation fans. So technically a fan, yes, but circulation. There's a difference, it seems. Also, I thought. But this is how they get you. This is the exact gimmick that is causing the issues here. And in my research, it seems like the fans do the same thing as everything else. And it was explained in a way that was kind of weird and confusing, really. It's basically trying to say that these fans circulate air around your room, which I don't think is really possible. for being honest. Because I think that's just what fans do anyway. They push air towards you and say put a cooler around there if there is any. But that's obviously down to if there is any. And that causes issues. But where air circulation fans drop... Someone was about to be sick, I don't know what that was. But they seem to try and differentiate it in a weird way, which I find extremely bizarre. I don't know why there's even this differentiation thing. It just sort of doesn't make any sense. Oh Jesus, there's a lot of deaths. I'm going to be reviving a lot. But yeah. Basically it seems like a scam, from what I could tell. And it's not good, in my opinion. I think this is very concerning. I don't really understand, obviously, the logic here. It seems very off. Because what they seem to be pushing is to do with a gimmick, where they're trying to pose it as like they're cooling stuff, but they're not really, are they? So it's like very weird. And it's not even explained in the sort of videos that it is like a cooling thing. So it's not even a certain thing here. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, yeah, I don't get it exactly. But it seems like a scam. Because the air circulation, the way that it's shown through the screen, obviously, or whatever they've visualised it as, seems just like the same as a fan. That's what I'm saying. I'm not an expert on this by any means, and this is just mainly theorising. But this is not the same. It's not a different thing. I mean, like, it's the same thing basically, and the gimmick that they have is they try to make it appear different. But from what I could tell, it is the same thing, and I did some more research on it this morning to figure it out, because I was still confused. Like, what's the difference between this and the other fan? Because they look the same. And it turns out they are the same, according to other people. It seems like a gimmick, and so this subreddit also is suspiciously promoting this product, obviously by Vornado, and there's apparently a competing one that just imaginarily exists and has been sent to people to test, which I'm also equally as confused by, because there's no Vornado reviews out there, I don't think. I've looked, and there are some, but these are from random people, not even like a trusted source. And even then I've seen like stupid AI videos promoting Vornado. So it's just equally as frustrating. It doesn't make any sense. But it's just pissed me off. Because I'm fed up with this sort of shit. It seems so blatantly to be a scam. And yet, it's not really posed as such. Like, nobody's calling it out. Which I also just find equally confusing. It's a bit like the Dyson thing, but it's different in a way. Because with Dyson, the gimmick was that they're posing a product that cools your room. And obviously that's false, because you can't cool the room with a fan. That doesn't exist. You need a specific set of requirements for that, such as ventilation and a way to provide coolant. Like, those are the two things, and maybe there's a world where you get like a mini AC, but I don't think it exists. And even the ones I've tried in the past, where it has like water, first the one I tried of that, it broke. And they don't provide things in it which are necessary to make it cool, which sucked. So, what I can determine from this and all the research I've done and all the anecdotes is that it is just a scam. The reviews on it are not positive. And on top of that, the other thing I thought was very suspicious about this product, other than the pricing being absurd, speaking like cheapest being like 80 quid, up to 300 fucking quid for a bladed fan. And this is how they get you. This is why I think it is legitimately a scam. I don't get it. It genuinely doesn't make any sense. So how they're allowed to operate in the UK and let alone with a website is confusing. I don't really get it. It's very strange to me. Yeah. I don't understand that shit. It just seems so bizarre to me. Makes zero sense whatsoever. But I felt like calling this out because it does seem like a scam. They function the same from what I could see. Again, I'm no scientist, but I do know how air moves. It's pretty obvious in the way that air doesn't affect it. Also, just naturally from fans anyway, it does circulate. Like, what do you think is going to happen when air hits the wall? Of course it's going to fucking circulate. It's not going to cool down a room. And especially when there's nothing to address the issue, where there seems to be a obviously an influx or an imbalance of, what is it? There's an imbalance of the heat in the room, so you can't even address it with just a single fucking fan. Well, there needs to be other things going on for it to be cool. And so they also market it as a coolant, which it isn't, because it just pushes air around the room. And even if it does something different, it's not provable, because there's nothing on it. There is no proof of this. Obviously their own sources will lie and like try to make it seem like they're actually I don't know how to say, like, right about this, or just trying to pose it as if it's an expert thing. But this is another step in the scam. It's got people on board with the idea that it actually does something like this, on a professional level. They make it sound complicated so that it will get sort of people interested in it. And again, they show a bunch of misleading bullshit and get people to make fake reviews and pose it again like it's the new best thing, the next Dyson fan. And the Dyson fans weren't even great. I actually knew someone that had one, and it wasn't any good. It's just the same as any ordinary bladeless fan knockoff. It's just no difference. It didn't cool the air, it didn't do that. There's no such thing. And again, there's specific requirements for it to cool the air. But yeah, I felt like calling this out. I just feel it's so stupid. That reminds me, I need to write down that I liked Pepsi Max Tropical. I tried that recently and that was nice. That was a cool drink. But that was my... I guess I won't open it and the eBay offers is weird. I have a list of foods I liked and disliked, and I put drinks in there and other stuff. Yeah, so I think at this point I'm just going to look for a fan. An ordinary fan with a timer. I think the timer's going to be an important part. That's the other thing. I can't remember if I said with the Vornado stuff, but there's no timers on it, which is also very sus. For what seems to be modern technology, quote unquote, to me it just seems like they're repurposing old hardware and trying to make it seem as if it's the future. And again, it's another part of the scam from what I could tell. It's a fucking clusterfuck. I really do not understand it. Anyway, I will need to move on a sec. Well, this is interesting. So I set up the Focusrite Scarlet and Scarlet Solo 4th generation, just sharing my first impressions. Because I found something interesting about this, to be honest. I think it's interesting anyway. But it was weird, because I had a thought when I initially tried it that I was probably never going to like it and never actually going to get used to it, as in it's going to have many issues that I've run into issues rather. I've also still have that fear. It's not been quenched after setting it up. I do think that there is a potentially a positive side to this, in that I think it is actually kind of working, which is insane. So when I started, I realised I could test it properly with obviously a studio headphone thing, and I knew I had a pair of DT770 Pros in my bed storage which is why for some reason I put tech. Probably not the best idea, to be fair, but it's what I have, so that's that. But I knew I had some, and so I fished them out, dirty as fuck. Pads were peeling off. It's pretty much the top of it was peeling off as well, like the actual headband. So I'm wearing this without a headband at the moment, which is not comfortable. I'm used to it for some reason, but it's not great. I do have a sort of one you can put on and off, so I'm going to wash that at some point, as soon as possible preferably, because it'd be good to get that on here. However, if my testing of it goes well with everything else, in fact I could do turning this off, to be honest, going back to the Melomanias for the moment. But it could be very promising. Hopefully it doesn't fuck up the mic, because it has been messing with the mic. There's no off button, is it? No. I guess I'll just unplug it, annoyingly. Yeah, sad, but true. So I'll go to the Melomanias for now, I think, and get the dust off. Fucking, what do I put there? No, it's very interesting, because this feels like it shouldn't be working, but it is. And I didn't actually know that I had to use a fucking 5.5mm jack, is it? Or whatever those big audio jacks are, or 6.5 actually. It's almost double. So I didn't know how to use that. So that put me in a loop, honestly. I didn't know what to do with that. So I thought, okay, do I have one of these? Because I remember seeing one a long time ago. I don't know where exactly. But it turns out I do. It was in my V-Motor head case. I still have the V-Motors. They stink. They're shit. They're poopy. So it's not good, I'm going to be honest. But I think it's very interesting, because I think with this anyway, yeah, I figured it would work. So yeah, it works right away. I plugged it in, put it to conversion obviously, and it just kind of worked, which I'm very surprised by. It definitely came as a surprise to me, because I didn't expect it. So they just worked right away. I went in and I plugged in the interface, obviously, as I'd previously unplugged it. Trying to get the Melomanias to work again. I think I have to turn it on and off again, ironically. But yeah, essentially that's like the big thing there, I think. Hopefully the mic still works. Yeah, it's still working. But the headphones are not. How do I disable that? What? Doesn't sound like me. Blasphemy. Anyway, there we go, it's working now. Yeah, so I set them up, I'm not sure how to explain it. So there's a lack of audio here. When it's Discord, it'll pop off sound, because I need to mute. Fucking hell. So I need to mute it for another 1 hour, I guess. Ugh. No, yeah, I set it up basically, and I figured the best thing to try first would probably be Rocksmith. Or so I thought. And that came with its own issue, because apparently you can't just plug in and play, which I think is really stupid. Given that even at the time that this game was out, I think there were already small interfaces for recording audio. So for some reason they didn't already have that in the game. And it turns out you have to install RS Audio, which thankfully is easy to install, but they left out one important detail, which is stupid. Also, I was surprised that the audio was working right away and sounds even better than the Melomanias, which I'm surprised by. These were pretty damn bad headphones on the audio jack, but then again I was using extensions, so that probably impacted the quality a bit. Weird though, not used to that. Not used to swapping quality like that in good ways. Yeah, so I've installed the ASIO. Skeptical about it obviously, because I never had a good experience with ASIO drivers. They've always been a pain in my arse, literally. I think they cause my hemorrhoids and fissure. Not pointing fingers, but I am pointing fingers. And so I wasn't left with like the most positive experience based on that from back when I tried a Steinberg MK2, which was like the first audio interface I ever tried. and it just sucked. It was ass. Literally just refused to work and work properly, for that matter when it did work. No, that aside, yeah, I got easier working and launched Rocksmith and immediately volume problem. Yikes. I don't know why it's at like 100% volume. I had to take off my headphones because it reset the Focus Scarlet audio volume supposedly, which I'm unsure why it does that. To be fair, it's very weird. I'm not sure why it's doing these things. So naturally I had to exit out the game and figure out what the fuck was going on. I obviously reduced it in-game, like the volume, the music volume and stuff, but it didn't change the game volume, which is stupid. You can't do it in Mixer, that doesn't appear to work for some reason, which I find is really stupid as well. If you're not offering an on-the-fly option, it's kind of a risk to your ears, I'm not gonna lie, especially as the game audio won't go down. It's the music that you can and the playing that can. So that's weird, and it sounds like you have to go into Rocksmith mods, which makes sense. But when I did get in game and I adjusted it, I immediately went to trying to record, and I got part way through a song before realising something. Realising somehow the audio wasn't picking up, like recording properly, because the guitar sounded clean as fuck. I'd never heard a guitar so clean. I'm shocked by that as well, because I am testing this, comparing it to the real-time cable. So I was shocked. But, as it turns out, it's not picking up in OBS. My mic and stuff is, but OBS is not picking up the audio. So, there is a massive issue here, because if it won't pick up the game's audio, again because it's probably an ASIO driver, because it picks up Final Fantasy fine, I'm not sure about D-Rock, I haven't tested it yet, I'll see other games later. But I have to check, but you know, why is it not picking this up? And I looked at a tutorial video, which I'm going to have to do tomorrow, because I don't have the time, and you have to install something like Voice Meter, which I've seen before. But why? Just why? I know people use it for soundboards, but it's so fucking complicated. Why is there all these steps just for recording audio? It seems insane to me. It's like the people who designed this wanted you to have as miserable of an experience as possible. And that always seems to be the case with things like this. Because I can really vouch for the lack of latency and the quality of the audio in Rocksmith. And also it worked. I felt my playing was better with the Scarlet solo here. And also just the direct guitar input as I'm using that cable, not the real-time cable. Just keep that in mind, just because people might think I'm stupid and don't use the right cable. No, I was using the right cable. I have it marked with a white wraparound for that specific purpose, or purpose. I might need to remove it at some point actually if this goes well. Another point is, it definitely worked, but I just find things like this are so dumb. The fact you couldn't even capture desktop audio and not have that work is also equally as stupid. I'm just baffled by how complicated that sort of stuff is for some reason. It feels just so unnecessary, and it really puts a dampener on things, because it really shouldn't be like that. It really is a shitty thing to do if you're programming something like this. Like, why are you not prioritising accessibility above all else? I get sort of, sometimes you do want the technical stuff, and many people will demand that. But shit like this is why people are afraid to even mess with it. That's why people would prefer to go with a cheap cable or a real-time cable. But you know, based on my testing just initially, I will say the quality trade-off is much better and definitely worth it. But I'm not sure about obviously picking up the recordings, if you do. That's a bit of a sore spot. And then I also did a bit of Final Fantasy 14. It's not massive gaming, but the quality from the DT 770 Pros is actually not bad. I was kind of surprised by that as well. It felt as if I was listening to a better version of the Melomanias again, which is crazy. But at the moment I'm going to have to figure out a way to get better headphones, because one of the biggest problems with them, as I discovered, noise leaks through like an ass. Not as in people can hear you listening to porn sort of stuff. I mean, you can hear people. That's the problem. You can hear, or I can hear rather, the noises from outside, talking. I can hear even the portable aircon, which is supposed to be really good at like noise isolating, but maybe it's the pads, I don't know. Maybe it's because they're going. But it's so annoying. And honestly, that really would need to change, I think. So it can be a lot better. And that sort of stuff. I don't understand why this stuff has to be so complicated. And a pair of headphones as well, especially for studio monitoring, it should be noise isolating or noise cancelling. I'm not even sure what the term is because nobody will tell me. I tried looking it up several times and nobody can get the term right. But I prefer to call it noise isolation because it does kind of isolate your ears in a way from the noise, external noise you would be hearing otherwise. So I do find bits like that a bit silly. I can only hope in the future that we get more defined vocabulary. That was purely unintentional. I'm not even joking. That's funny when that happens. Anything else? No mic issues. I restarted my PC as well when I tried to do something with it. And tried to get that was it, this Focusrite. I was trying to set that up properly. For some reason it reinstalled itself. Speaking of which, I'm a bit worried about that. Because I already had it installed. Which is also a very weird thing. So I'm not 100% sure what that was about. Very weird, I've got to admit. But anyway, I'll move on, and I think I'll include this clop. That's my little pony porn, by the way. I'll include it in the actual video I make on this, because it's going to be an interesting video. Nobody's done it, nobody's tried it, so I think I'll give it a shot. To be honest, it's just something I have to do, given that I have this opportunity in front of me, and it might even just skyrocket my channel. You never know, it could even become one of the things I just focus on, like audio engineering and shit, which really won't be my forte. I only have its own frustrations, but it's worth a shot. Even then, tech stuff and also like idiot reviews is going to be beneficial for that, and it'd be a great comparison point as well. Again, the likes of which nobody's ever seen, and people say like, oh, it's a stupid comparison, why are you doing that? Because people want to know the trade-off. If you can get decent tones in Rocksmith, which you can most of the time, then does it matter what cable you have? I'd say maybe not, but I don't know, it's hard to say at the moment. But as I've witnessed the trade-off, maybe it says, yeah, it's worth spending a lot more money just to get this. But I can't confirm that at the moment. I'll have to wait and see, because I haven't tested it properly again. And I do sort of wish I did something with a clean tone actually. Now I think about that, I might go back and do that. Write that down in a notey. That's how you say note, by the way. Anyway, let's move on. So obviously since I've started recording music, it's been very different in terms of the writing process, because there's so much more I can do now. I'm not restricted to the VSTs, obviously. And I do feel it sounds better, even with these probably inferior real-time cable. But I am exploring, obviously, the Focusrite Scarlet as I speak. I literally have it, and I am trying it out. But one of the things that interests me is just how much improved my writing has become when it comes to these sword tracks. And yeah, I'm working on a very specific cover. It really started out as a joke because I wanted to sort of celebrate this, because I think it's worth celebrating, it's fun. And it's a funny idea. Honestly, I think it's genius what I've come up with, the idea. But that's not even talking about the cover. The cover is genius. It's surprising. It literally does everything that I kind of wanted it to. I wanted it to be heavy, I wanted it to be also amazing and jaw-dropping. And there's an area in it with about 2 minutes 16 in this, is how far I'm into it over like the last few weeks. And it's like, it's so fucking good. I created this really nice sort of sweeping harmony part on the rhythms. Yes, the rhythms. And I say it's sweeping, it's more like arpeggios, but it's kind of sweeping as well. But it's so interesting. Again, kind of don't know anything like it. It's so out as well, it's just nuts for what it's doing. And I don't know what exactly the key for the track is. I'm trying to think actually. Yeah, I'll try and do the thinking part of it. Nope, it's not coming to mind. I think it's in a minor key or something. I'll try and play a bit of it. So yeah, it's what I thought actually. It's starting on that one, 3 minus G. Yeah, I'm not a music theory person. Yeah, it certainly made for some interesting parts, for sure. Although actually I could... No, I figured it out, it's F sharp it starts on. I think. Is it? I cannot figure it out for the life of me for some reason. So 13 is there, no, 9. That would be G sharp. Wait, it is G sharp, okay. Yeah, because I was playing on the B string, I don't think. But yeah, it's in a G sharp, it seems. Surprisingly. But honestly, it sounds very interesting. And you know, given this is like the second cover I've made on guitar, it's also fascinating. And the fact I can also memorise it is also quite a fascinating part of it too. That's kind of the fun of actually writing it myself, going through the process. I don't really encounter writer's block exactly, it's only occurred once during this, but not during the Accumulator Time cover. But I'm learning a lot, and also learning about sort of keeping tunings correct. It's a bit difficult with G-tune, so I'm wondering if there's an alternative somewhere. I don't really know how to set it up to have it hook into the direct inputs. Maybe I do actually, and I just need to keep it mute somehow. Huh. But I don't know how that would work exactly. Yeah, like a dedicated tuning thing, okay, that makes sense. I don't know. I have to figure out a way to do it digitally, because the physical one I've got is nice, but it doesn't have pitch shift. And yes, this track is pitch shifted, which will give you a hint into what it is. But I'm quite excited about the track anyway, and I have so many ideas, and I might even try a new tone. I might even try and get a new one, but I'll try amplitude first. And I'll sort of briefly mention about the Tosin and Ralsei neural DSP plugin, which I might give a shot if I can't find her in amplitude. And I don't know what else. I had considered playing bass before, but I don't think I can do it, to be honest. Just part of it makes me feel a bit weird, and also I kind of just don't want to get an expensive one. I'm kind of going to look for another one, I think, 6-string multi-scale bass. Because that'll be, I'll say affordability wise, it'll be decent. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. I just think this is very interesting. I'm not going to get like a crappy normal scale one, I think. Again, I'm not considering the option of playing. Like, it sounds weird, I know, but I'm not good at it. That's the problem. I tried so hard to play it on, my original tracks, and I just can't. I tried the galloping, it sounds like crap. I tried playing it cleanly, it sounds like crap. I just can't do it, and I'd rather write it how I would play it. And that's better to do with VST. So that's why I'll stick with UmanskyBass, which ironically is actually, I think, Animals as Leaders, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I didn't actually know that before. Kind of crazy. Yeah. You think that it's just so why we're going to fate to get the fucking fish? What the fuck? What are we doing here? That's so funny. Yeah. That's the thing. I think that it's going to be very interesting to explore all these options. Just wanted to know, obviously, like, what it'd be like doing this, and I think I will stick with it. Because it's kind of been a blast. The only biggest problems I have is like the timing and also playing it correctly as well. What I end up doing oftentimes is I mute every track to concentrate, and then I play it as if I'm playing it in like a slow order or something. So I'll do it like slowly. So maybe I'm playing, trying to think, like Culture Beat. What is it? Mr. Vane, that's it. I almost forgot. It's very easy to play actually. I was surprised I didn't bother recording, but I guess timing issues, that's the main thing. But, you know, to play that, it's very easy. It's very much a chord shape, and you move along a few times. There's a lot of potential for even articulations and stuff, which is cool. But to do that, I'd basically record it in a few takes if I can't do it in one. So I'll try it in one, and then I'll do another take where I'll just do it separately, and this way I save time. And it's just a matter of like splicing, and I need to find a new way to do it actually, to sort it, because that'd be really handy to figure out. I need to learn some things about FL Studio to splice clips together and keep them together, which would be very fucking handy, because I do too much of that. And also just the timings on things I get so OCD about. OCD and audio tracks don't really mix, from what I can tell. It's very much an annoyance of mine. I always try to fix the lengths as well by cutting together bits, and I know it's not great, but I don't have any choice. It's a mess when I play, at least with the Rocksmith cable, and I have to wait and see what the other holds in store, and that'll be interesting. But yeah, I just find it incredibly frustrating. Just to figure this shit out sometimes. Yeah, it's just very weird. Anyway, I don't know what else to add. Again, just very interested, so yeah, I shall move on. Something I've been thinking about as a result of a comment I made on a of all things Nocturnal short. For some reason, he was talking about cooking salmon, which is just, yeah, what the fuck. Not a fun metal thing at all, to be honest. But that's not really the point. I just think it's kind of gross still, as I've mentioned before, that people still blabber on about cooking animal products amidst this climate crisis and what's essentially an ethical disaster. And it got me thinking about what even led me to this point anyway, as a comment said, gee, you must be fond of pies. I was always back, or something along that line. But obviously I'm an empathetic person by virtue of being autistic. That is one of the traits that you can have that can be extremely exaggerated, and it is. It's so empathetic that I just can't shut up about ethics, and ethics become a very big part of my life, and they started to become a big thing around my first adult relationship that I've ever had. See, in adulthood, I could have worded that better, obviously. But yeah, that's literally the thing here. I think as I developed in that relationship, I also learned a lot about the world and ethics, and I was also a vegan at the time, which is interesting. And I learned a lot from that as well, and that opened my eyes to the world of ethics and understanding. So that really did change me in a positive way. I started to realise things like eating animals is wrong. I started to realise how people imagine things happen better in their mind than it actually does in real life. So what happens to animals is a far different situation entirely. It just isn't very fun at all. And even though people point out that the food is oftentimes the worst of the worst, as in it's like a potentially even like a 1%, 10% sort of minority where this actually happens, it still doesn't change the fact that what's happening in these places is just inherently wrong as a result of having these practices, as a result of having selective breeding, so many different things. And it makes me glad that I learned about ethics, because if I hadn't known that and I learned it too late, I would be fucking dreading my life. You know, I've only been sort of animal product free for 7 years of my life, but again, I'm trying to do my best here. As I'm trying to do with a lot of other things, like stopping AI shit, creating decent things in life, making a name for myself in a way. Maybe that's not a priority, but I do want to at least leave behind some sort of legacy, if not for ethics and for creative work anyway. Just to show how much I appreciate and respect things that obviously humans can do well. Obviously, fishing is not one of them, because bottom trawling is fucking awful and it destroys the planet. And yet, all people can say to me again is, you must be fun at parties. I don't even go to parties, dumbass. Well, what the fuck are you on about? It's just so dumb. Yeah, people are just very stupid and deflective in this situation. It seems, instead of actually acknowledge that you've been enlightened on something, or rather question it, even like use critical thinking, they just prefer to attack. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, people shit on a lot of things that don't really need to be shit on. Like, for example, autism has been shit on a lot lately. Not just in like the spaces where you think it'd be accepted, but spaces where it is accepted. Like, it's just absolutely shattered. And there's just a really bad attitude shift towards attacking people as opposed to educating them. It's kind of a similar thing as what I've said about controversial topics, like trying to think like politics wise. Even things about political violence where you can make an argument that some of it is good. Just downright is good. But obviously there's other parts of it which aren't, which need to be acknowledged. That aside, there's also even more controversial things like paraphilias, as I've brought up before, and bring out the point that there isn't always a simple solution to these things. It's not a case of shoot the paedophile and win. That doesn't exist, and that's the harsh reality of it. They're always going to exist so long as you force them into darker situations. And when you can actually be public about it, things start to change. When you can actually get people to admit what they're feeling, what they're thinking. So many different things. There's just different things in the way here. And that stops progress. That's the worst part. It literally does stop progress because we're not actually doing the right thing here. We're not looking at the research, and that's why I call out this stuff anyway. As someone who was a victim of abuse, I have to say, it's disgusting that nobody wants to prioritise saving and preventing victims. So, yeah, why wouldn't you want to do that, is my question. You can blab on also about the Epstein stuff, which itself is awful, like, yeah. But the list coming out doesn't excuse a lot, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of people are just on board with this, just so they can scapegoat their own fucking dark side. Which is sickening. I just couldn't imagine people just, I don't know how to explain it. There's just so many sickening sides to people, it seems, when you could just choose to be a decent person for a lot of things and, you know, confess to a crime and then just be done with it. It doesn't make any sense, and they ruin their fucking reputation and what they supposedly believed in. If they truly believed in it. They're going to ruin everything, but that's the thing with ethics. It's not a simple black and white theory. It requires hours and hours of understanding and research and thinking. That's where that becomes a big thing. It becomes really important. As I mentioned, you have to literally prevent victims of abuse from obviously coming into existence. Like the fact that they've been abused is terrible. But that is the issue. That's what we're facing here. I just don't understand why this is such a thing. It doesn't make sense. So yeah. I don't really know what's going on there. It's very confusing. But again, this is why I bring it up. And yeah, of course I'm not going to be fun at parties. In fact, I don't even mention it when I'm out. When I'm in a social situation, I don't bring it up. And that's just because of my autism. I'm coded that way. I don't really speak in person the way that I speak online. Which, yes, can lead to issues of consistency. But if people do talk to me about it, I might even just have a panic attack or shut down. And that's always going to cause issues for me, as far as I know. Yeah, that's why a lot of this shit feels so... just... I don't know what to say, like... just apathetic. That's really the term for this, actually. When people do attacks instead of actually providing a good argument. It reminds me of the vegan teacher stuff, where instead of providing a good argument, a lot of the times it's just attacks and mockery, which ironically actually fueled her more. So you had idiots doing this stuff, jumping on the bandwagon, and then idiots getting views from it as well. So equally, viewers and creators alike were just idiots all the time about this, so they fueled it. Similar with like the PG kills animals stuff, which people have sucked up like a fucking... I don't know what to call it actually, like a dick. I don't know. But they've slurped that stuff up. And yet they haven't done the research. They haven't looked into what it actually is and who's funded it. Where that does influence a lot of things. And whilst Peter has done bad things, turns out a lot of the things that are being called out is just astroturfing. It's like animal agriculture, trying to defend the fact that they harm animals, they abuse them, as an inherent part of the process. And again, you run into issues there. It's like a conflict of interest, and it's an ethics problem as well. But obviously, we see that becoming more of a problem for everyone. What do I even fucking say at that point? Doesn't make any sense, if I'm being honest. Anyway, I think I ought to move on. For some reason, my PC is lagging. Oh, it's Tempest, that's why. I don't know what it is about the Tempest in this game. It seems to fucking lag. I don't know what it is now. It always lags. I need to report that as a bug another time. So annoying. Anyway, I shall move on. That's just another topic. Just wanted to discuss. Ethics is great, but also equally has its bad downsides and stuff. Can make you very depressed because you realise how stupid people are and how selfish they are as well. Hence what I just saw. I hate to say it, Nick Nocturnal, you're great at a metal musician, but this shit is just gross. I've seen it too much with content creators promoting animal products which directly harm the planet. They all do. You can't avoid it. Even chickens, I think, harm the planet. And even then, begs the question, should we just use the food that we feed them to feed ourselves? It seems like a no-brainer to me. That way it causes much less environmental impact. And we could solve world hunger. It's an easy solution. Anyway, we'll move on. Oh, would you look at the time? Yeah, so then on a kind of depressing note, but I did come up with something which I think is interesting. And said it on Blue Sky, but I'll say here as well. If your response to a moral argument is an attack, then it is not doing the morally correct thing. And that should be really obvious, but for some reason, to many it just doesn't seem to be, as is the case with something like that vegan teacher from quite a few years ago, at the start of the pandemic, I think. Yeah, that demonstrates perfectly the issue with moral arguments and even just moral arguing. When nobody can actually respond to the point where you would want to change yourself, and even either many times. I want to hear an argument against something like, well, for something like animal agriculture rather. So literally in favour of it. But nobody provides the argument. So I don't have any reason to change, let alone find something to even argue with. Because the evidence for that, the demonstrable evidence, is not there. It hasn't been proven. Once again, the issue is that nobody can demonstrate this. And I can't change as a result to do the right thing. Where there is a right thing, possibly, but I don't know. Because somebody has to present the evidence. Of course, you can't when nobody's. So again, it just becomes real shit. What do I even say? It is pathetic, but yeah. Anyway, I wanted to end the podcast now. It's just tiring, I gotta admit. It's not fun going through this shit and getting stupid responses. Someone even said, make this about me in quotation marks. The original comment didn't even mention I or me. Or myself. Like, it didn't say any fucking thing about that. Where do people come up with this shit? They literally pull it out of thin air. Again, it's not an argument. You're doing something seemingly for the wrong reasons here, and I have suspicions to put you in the same line as a fucking child rapist. Because you're just doing the same thing. You're trying to justify the cruelty and the abuse, not to mention environmental destruction, by attacking someone. You're the same as a fucking child rapist. Fucking cunts. Anyway, grow up. See you in the next one.